24 years, St. Louis will once again be a part of the Olympics.
I'm Debbie Monterrey. A large tech proposal in Midtown could be running into a roadblock. Michael Calhoun is tracking developments.
This is AccuWeather meteorologist Joe Lundberg. A cold day today with intervals of clouds and sunshine and a high of 32.
Trey back out to Robbie. The cooler fakes the handoff. Gives it up to Dunlop. Brady from NBA range. Bang! Are you kidding me?
They are unbelievable. The St. Louis Billikens do it again on the road at Davidson. Much more on SLU's incredible season at 6:15.
Views, talk, cards. KMOX AM St. Louis. KMOX FM Hazelwood. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
This is CBS News on the Hour, your home for original reporting.
I'm Deborah Rodriguez. We begin in Arizona, where the search for Today Show host Savannah Guthrie's 84-year-old mother is entering its fourth day. Pima County Sheriff Chris Nanos.
We do believe that Nancy was taken from her home against her will.
The investigation is now zeroing in on a ransom note. CBS's Andres Gutierrez has more from Tucson.
Authorities say they're taking every tip seriously with assistance from the FBI as they pore over DNA results, surveillance images, and other evidence gathered from the house. Police are also stressing Guthrie's critical need for daily medication and continuing their appeal for help from the public.
President Trump has signed a funding bill that ends the partial government shutdown, but it only keeps the Department of Homeland Security running for 9 more days. Democrats, like California's Pete Aguilar, are still pushing for more restrictions on immigration enforcement.
The American people are fed up of this. They are fed up of lawless ICE. They are fed up of runaway budgets with no accountability.
Democrats calling for mandatory body cameras for federal agents, judicial warrants, and a ban on face masks. Bill Gates is speaking out after his name was mentioned in the newly released Jeffrey Epstein files.
The focus was always he knew a lot of very rich people, and he was saying he could get them to give money to global health. You know, in retrospect, that was a dead end, and I was foolish to spend time with him. I was one of many people who regret ever knowing him.
His ex-wife, Melinda Gates, says the document released dredges up painful memories. Bill and Hillary Clinton have now agreed to testify in the House Oversight Committee's Epstein investigation. President Trump is planning another addition to the White House grounds.
The president wants to install a statue of Christopher Columbus. Sources tell the Washington Post it would be erected on the south side of the White House grounds. It was built using pieces of the Columbus statue protesters dumped into Baltimore's Inner Harbor in 2020. Last October, Trump signed a proclamation recognizing Columbus as the original American hero and marking the annual holiday.
Columbus Day, we're back, Italians. We love the Italians.
Some states now recognize Indigenous Peoples Day instead. Michael Wallace, CBS News.
Meet Penny, the dog who's sitting pretty in New York City.
For Best in Show at the 150th Westminster Kennel Club Dog Show is the Doberman Pinscher.
The 4-year-old on Fox took home the top prize at the Westminster Kennel Club Dog Show at Madison Square Garden. It's the first time a Doberman's come in first since 1989. A Chesapeake Bay Retriever named Kota was runner-up. NASDAQ futures up 18. This is CBS News.
Real crimes, real justice. Follow and listen to 48 Hours on the free Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcasts.
It is 6:03, and right now in downtown St. Louis, we've got partly cloudy skies, 22 degrees. I'm Debbie Monterrey.
And I'm Tom Ackerman. It will have taken 124 years, but St. Louis will be back in the Olympics game. Energizer Park has been named a venue for the early stages of the 2028 Olympic soccer matches.
Spencer says St. Louis City SC is a tremendous asset to the city and the rebirth of downtown.
I do really want to thank the ownership group here, the Taylor family, the investment made in this award-winning, phenomenal stadium right here in downtown.
President and GM of St. Louis City SC, Diego Gigliani.
Being selected as a competition venue for the LA 28 Olympic Games is an extraordinary honor.
Maria Aquina, KMOX News.
A massive tech proposal in Midtown could soon face new city hurdles.
The $3.1 billion complex could become the test case for how St. Louis handles the AI boom. Developers want to turn the old famous bar warehouse on Market Street into a nearly 500,000 square foot data center next to the Armory. The project comes just as city planners acknowledge they can't compete with the suburbs for massive sprawling server campuses because of a lack of space. Consequently, the city's new draft rules are tailored more toward edge data centers. Those are the facilities that sit closer to the users that they serve. While it's still not clear if the new zoning laws impact the famous bar project, the city says these urban-focused centers are essential for expanding high-speed networks without destroying the neighborhood feel. Michael Calhoun, KMOX News.
A man is dead following an overnight shooting in North St. Louis. Police say it happened around 1:30 in the Baden neighborhood. Officers found the victim in the 1200 block of Peggy Court. No word on any suspects.
We are awaiting word from the circuit attorney's office on the name of the suspect, but St. Louis City Police say a man has been charged with murder for the crime that led up to an officer-involved shooting Monday night in the Skinker de Bolivar neighborhood. Officers say the 68-year-old man lived at the home on Waterman with 67-year-old Mary Jackson, whom police witnessed being shot.
Missouri students could be able to transfer public schools more easily if legislation loosening rules about open enrollment is improved. Critics worry the proposal could weaken school districts.
Parents would be able to send their kids to schools elsewhere in their current district, or, in some cases, elsewhere in the county or a neighboring county. But the rules also give schools a way to opt out if they're at capacity. The changes could be a boon for charter schools, but could take students and money away from some urban schools. Tammy Henderson lobbies on behalf of North Kansas City Schools. She says transferring students like that in her district would be difficult.
22,000 kids we move around on a daily basis, and trying to provide transportation to another school district somewhere else could be a big challenge.
Supporters say the bill would give students who struggle in their current districts a better education. A similar bill was proposed last year, but never made it to the floor. I'm Alex Gribb.
Harris-Stowe State University is adding a $62 million STEM building to its campus. Founding dean in the College of STEM, Dr. Harvey Fields, tells MissouriNet it's part of an ongoing mission.
Helping provide an on-ramp so that students can learn how to begin to embrace a STEM culture, how to embrace learning in a STEM environment, how to learn how to navigate the courses.
The new building is expected to be open by the fall of 2027.
The Missouri Historical Society has a new director of the African American History Initiative, Laya LaFleur.
Our focus is really on visibility, sustainability, and the future, and growing public awareness of Black history, expanding our programming reach.
The Missouri History Museum has a number of Black History Month events planned. LaFleur points out the Mill Creek Black Metropolis exhibit that opened a few months ago has been very popular.
Nearly 40,000 visitors to date have come to check it out, and it's really reaching multi-generational audiences.
LaFleur is a New York Times bestselling author, television producer, and NAACP Image Award winner.
From the KMOX business desk, following his performance at Sunday night's Stadium Series hockey game in Florida, three-time Grammy Award-winning country music star Tim McGraw is announcing the upcoming Pawn Shop Guitar Tour. He'll make a stop at Hollywood Casino Amphitheater September 17th. McGraw tickets go on sale this Friday morning on livenation.com.
It's 6:08, traffic and weather next.
Hi, this is Charlie Brennan. You know, when you go to the Audiology Center, you'll see a doctor of audiology. And with us right now, Dr. Colleen Bosler. Dr. Bosler, what are some of the signs of hearing loss?
Well, it's a number of things. Sometimes loved ones notice a person asking others to repeat themselves, or the television is too loud. What people tend to notice first with hearing loss is the loss of clarity. They can hear people talking, but they cannot always understand what's being said. That's because the hearing loss can cause you to miss certain consonant sounds, and those consonant sounds give us the detail to the word. A hearing aid can help bring back those details and give you a sense of clarity that you're missing.
Dr. Colleen Bosler at the Audiology Center with 3 locations in the greater St. Louis area. Call for an appointment, 636-441-7470. Online, theaudiologycenterstl.com.
I was ordering food for the office from the same few places for too long.
For workplaces suffering with office food fatigue, every day's a struggle.
Before starting Easy Cater, I assumed having no good vegan options for Carl in finance was normal.
EasyCater is designed to treat OFF with a huge variety of favorite restaurants, plus tools to help you meet dietary needs and stay on budget. Used daily, one platform lets you save time and shine. Ask your app store about EasyCater or start an order at easycater.com.
Time is valuable. That's why Lowe's Blueprint Takeoffs turn blueprints into quotes faster. Bring us your plans, and we'll generate itemized material lists to make quoting easier so you can get back to building. Plus, at the Lowe's Pro Desk, you get access to thousands of building materials not sold in store. And when your order's ready, we'll deliver everything to the job site. Improving is easy at Lowe's.
This hour of Total Information AM is sponsored by Gamma Tree Experts.
It's now 6:10, and that means it's time for traffic and weather. And we start with Roger Brand in the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Well, it's a great looking Wednesday morning. I haven't heard any problems with, like refreezing conditions, Debbie. I mean, I know it's cold enough, and we had melting yesterday, just like we did the day before. But so far, hasn't led to anything. I haven't heard any issues. They just picked up some debris northbound 170 at Delmar. They cleared a stall that was eastbound 270 in McDonald. And most recently just moved one to the shoulder northbound 55 at Imperial. Again, I'm not seeing delays in any of those locations and in the work zones. Traffic continues to be light and moving well for you. So on both sides of the river, it's an easy-going Wednesday morning. So far, I mentioned earlier, as far as I know, that I have not received an all clear from IDOT. They closed those Campsville and Brussels ferries. It was more than 10 days ago when we had this cold snap start. And again, until we get consecutive days of warmer weather, there's still very heavy ice flow on the rivers. So they're going to remain closed until further notice. Maybe, I know you're saying next week we might get a warm stretch. We'll see if that opens them up. Next update at 6:20 from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
A cold day today with intervals of clouds and sun and a high of 32. Partly cloudy tonight. It'll be quite cold, low 18. More clouds and sun tomorrow with a high around 40. Friday, plenty of sunshine and becoming breezy in the afternoon, high 47. From the Saliga Heating and Cooling Weather Desk, I'm AccuWeather meteorologist Joe Lundberg on 104.1 FM KMOX.
Right now, we have a few clouds, but mostly it's clear at the moment. 21 degrees, 16 is what it feels like downtown at the Arch.
It is 6:11, and there's a job vacancy at Webster Grove City Hall. City Manager Marie Peoples has announced her resignation after less than 5 years in that position. The Webster Kirkwood Times reports Peoples addressed a standing room only crowd Tuesday night and said she's grateful to the community for its engagement and extremely proud of what's been accomplished together. Her remarks came before ex-Webster Grove's Fire Chief Brett Ellis talked about toxic leadership within the city's administration.
The oldest military installation west of the Mississippi, Jefferson Barracks in South St. Louis County, is celebrating its 200th birthday this year.
We've had several famous generals from the Civil War era or from World War II stopping at Jefferson Barracks or were stationed here.
Jefferson Barracks museum educator Jeffrey Edison told KMOX's Chris and Amy show that several community events are being planned this year to celebrate the history of the grounds. One will be June 6th to include displays, presentations, food, music, and more.
The FBI is investigating former Carlisle, Illinois police chief Mark Pinksterhouse for potential wire fraud and theft of federal funds. According to a search warrant obtained by Capital News Illinois, federal agents raided Pinksterhouse's office in November, seizing financial ledgers, receipts, and credit card records. They're looking for evidence he misused city or grant money for personal travel or gifts. Pinksterhouse resigned in December after the mayor confronted him, but he has not been criminally charged.
In many ways, crying is viewed negatively in our society.
Are you crying? Are you crying? There's no crying. There's no crying in baseball.
Is it time to destigmatize crying?
Dr. Michael Mahan is a psychotherapist and counselor. He says our bodies are always trying to maintain homeostasis and emotional balance.
So you can cry whenever you are in any emotional extreme because the function of crying is to return you to homeostasis. So anytime you are outside that homeostatic space that your body is trying to seek, you may feel like you want to cry because your body wants to return you back to homeostasis.
So how much should you cry? Dr. Mahan says it's up to you.
There's no way to feel worse after you cry. So you can feel worse after you get mad. You can feel worse after you get scared. Sometimes you might even be able to feel worse after you get happy. But biologically, unless you're engaged in some process of cognitive thought about what you're doing, you can't biologically feel worse after you cry.
Fred Bottomer, KMOX News.
What a night on KMOX. The Billikens, down 13 in the first half, faced a new challenge. They had never been down by that much on the road this season. Davidson looked unstoppable, shot 50% in the first half. They were moving the basketball, but the Billikens closed to within 5 at halftime, and that was very important. Ishan Sharma and Brady Dunlap knocked down some big-time threes to draw the game to single digits and a 5-point contest at the break. And in the second half, Josh Schertz had made his defensive adjustments, and the Billikens shooters went off, specifically Brady Dunlap.
Back out to Dunlap, into the corner, Ochieno, hand off to Brady, quick pop three, bang! Too much talent, Brady Dunlap!
I mean, you got Sharma, Trey, and Brady all out there together.
Who are you going to guard? Trey, back out to Robbie. The cooler fakes the handoff, gives it up to Dunlap. Brady from NBA range. Bang! Are you kidding me? Brady looks at the crowd, gives him a nod, and struts down the floor.
And back to that defense.
Still in deep, spins from 10. Yes!
Oh, Trey putting cats on skates that time. Look at Kellen
That's
Thames.
stolen away by Thames. To the hole, layup good! Mr. Electric Kellen Thames. Steal and bucket.
And just like that, it looked like they were wearing out a pretty deep Davidson team. They're up 70-59. They won the game 91-82. The Billikens are 22-1. 10-0 in the A-10, ranked 19th in the country. Their head coach, Josh Schertz, with Bob Ramsey and Earl Austin Jr.
Plan that was working. So, but proud of our guys, man. The resilience. That was one. You know, I mean, you're walking in going, this is a really good team. It's a really hard place to play. You know, this is the dog days of the season. I mean, you know, this is every reason to kind of like mail it in. And I thought we competed with a great spirit. I thought we showed unbelievable resilience.
After that late run at the end of the first half, what was the vibe going into halftime? Like you say, after all that, they dominated pretty much the first half, and you make that nice run at the end and cut it to 5 points.
You know, that was kind of you kind of look up, and I think we were down 13 with maybe like 2 or 3 minutes left in the first half. It felt like it was late in the first half. 13 with 3:04 left. Okay,
Yeah.
13 with 3:04. So you're really wobbling there, you know, and we were just getting our butts kicked, and you know, they were playing great. So, you know, it's so much when people look at a game, it's almost like, you know, you're not playing yourself either. You know, they made some, they banked a three, made a couple tough floaters. They were playing awesome. We were not playing awesome. You know, and I thought we made some bad rim decisions. I thought we, didn't play off two. I thought we got a little sloppy, in terms of like our spacing, and our pace was so slow in the first half. Didn't think we were getting the ball up and down the floor the way we normally do. So there was, and then to go in and Brady makes a really tough one there late. I think 2 tough ones in that little stretch, and and maybe Ish makes a hard one, I think. And so all of a sudden, we're within 5, and I told him, I said, man, like as bad as everything went in that first half, as well as they played, and as poorly as we played, this is probably a 10 to 15 point game. We're down 5.
And they end up winning it by 9, 91-82 at Davidson. The Billikens' next game Saturday afternoon on KMOX, 2 o'clock tip-off at Chaffetz Arena, 1:45 pregame as they host LaSalle. Southern Illinois won at Illinois State last night, 54-50. Surprising win for the Salukis on the road as they try to make a little push here in the Missouri Valley Conference. In the Ohio Valley, SIUE won at Lindenwood. 78-72 was the final in that one. The Blues play tonight, 8:30 face-off for them at Dallas, final game before the Olympic break. We'll hear a little bit more of Cardinals president of baseball operations, Chaim Bloom. He called into the Gas House gang to lead off our show yesterday and talk about the Brendan Donovan trade. I'm Tom Ackerman on the voice of the Cardinals and the Billikens, 104.1 FM, KMOX.
My brother-in-law died suddenly, and now my sister and her kids have to sell their home. That's why I told my husband we could not put off getting life insurance any longer. An agent offered us a 10-year, $500,000 policy for nearly $40 a month. Then we called SelectQuote. SelectQuote found us identical coverage for only $18 a month, a savings of nearly $300 a year.
Whether you need a $100,000 policy or a $10 million policy,
SelectQuote could save you more than 50% on term life insurance. In a hurry? Don't worry. With SelectQuote, you can get up to $2 million in instant, affordable, same-day coverage with no medical exam.
Call SelectQuote at 1-800-637-9116. That's 1-800-637-9116. Or go to SelectQuote.com. That's 1-800-637-9116. Full details on example policies at SelectQuote.com/commercials.
Well, we got a good one tonight at the Missouri Athletic Club. The St. Louis Sports Hall of Fame class of 2026 will be enshrined, including Bob Ramsey, who you just heard a moment ago, the Billikens voice, and much more tonight. Pat Maroon is going to be there. We're going to honor a number of people at the Missouri Athletic Club. For more than 120 years, the MAC has offered members exclusive access to premier dining, fitness, athletics, and social events like this one, the St. Louis Sports Hall of Fame. They have great events there seemingly on a weekly basis. I mean, it's just amazing. They have 3 locations now: downtown, West County, and soon to open Clayton. They're in the Pierre Leclerc Center in Clayton. The MAC, where members and their families can connect, stay active, enjoy unparalleled experiences. The Missouri Athletic Club, where tradition meets excellence, and St. Louis thrives. Visit mac-stl.org.
Your morning news and information. Total Information AM.
It's now 6:20. We need to get you updated on your ride-in and the weather, which, if you can just hang on for another day or two, it's going to really warm up. I mean, we may be getting rid of some of these snowbanks warming up. We'll get more details on that in just a moment. Right now, it's time for Roger Brand and the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Well, we'll have to wait a few more days, but this morning's starting off okay so far, Debbie, if you're heading out the door right now. In fact, it's really not bad at all. The only place I'm seeing a little bit of volume at a little slower pace is northbound 55 from just north of Bayless up to River to Pear. It's kind of bogged down through there. Not jam, not bumper to bumper, but it is just slower. North 270 coming off 55 still looks good past Gravois, Manchester, up around the work zone at Ladue. Out west 70 coming in from Warrenton, 64 from the Wentzville split across the Missouri River bridges. No delays. Southbound 61 still clear, coming down to 64 or 70 as well. And we're still rolling downtown across the Poplar and usual Veterans bridges so far. Next update at 6:30 from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Sponsored by Kalshi. Trade on anything. The big game is here, and now you can trade on football legally nationwide on Kalshi. Right now, New England is trading at 32% to beat Seattle. A $100 trade pays out $289. Use code FAN to get $20 when you trade 100. KALSHI. Kalshi. Trade on anything.
AccuWeather forecast from Joe Lundberg. Cold today, intervals of clouds and sunshine, a high of only 32 and a low of 18 tonight. But tomorrow we get more clouds and sun, high 40. Friday, mostly sunny, high 47. And while we dip down to 40 for our high on Saturday, Sunday's high is 55 with a warm afternoon. Looks like 60 on Monday. Right now, it's 21 downtown at the Arch.
The news continues at 6:22. Longtime St. Louis broadcaster Bob Ramsey being inducted into the St. Louis Sports Hall of Fame tonight. Beyond the catchphrases and wins, Ramsey says his career has been defined by a specific code of conduct. He believes that achieving big league status has less to do with the microphone and more to do with the intangible habits of a professional.
Who's going to teach the guys how to act right, to act like a professional, to act like a big leaguer, not just verbally, but in the way you carry yourself, the way you're prepared for every game.
Ramsey is part of a 2026 induction class being celebrated tonight for their lasting impact on the St. Louis sports community.
Missouri U.S. Senator Josh Hawley is challenging Netflix co-CEO Ted Sarando's claim that his company's $83 billion takeover of Warner Brothers would create American jobs. During a Senate antitrust hearing, Hawley presented data showing U.S. media production has been in a straight downward slide since 2021.
Let me show you the data here about U.S. production recently. Yeah. It's the red line here starting from in 2021. You can see it is pretty much straight downward. There's been a massive shift in production overseas to other foreign jurisdictions.
Sarando's countered that Netflix has created 155,000 domestic jobs to date and plans to spend $20 billion on content in 2026. However, a consumer lawsuit already filed in California claims the deal will reduce competition and raise prices.
Artificial intelligence chatbots will play a bigger role than Super Bowl commercials in directing consumers to products this Sunday, according to Adobe. This story from CBS's Christopher Cruz.
Adobe lead insights analyst Vivek Pandya says it won't be the traditional and expensive 30-second spots that will be the winners in this year's Super Bowl ad campaigns.
As consumers, look at different ads, things like that, want to know more information, we're anticipating them engaging more with these AI chatbots, and that's going to really drive a strong level of traffic.
He says when consumers ask an AI chatbot where they can buy a product, the answer doesn't depend on whether a company has bought an advertisement. What's important is that companies have a social media presence. Christopher Cruz, CBS News.
Adobe also says Americans are buying bigger and bigger television sets. Sales of big screen TVs were up 45% in February over the previous year, and almost 90% were 70 inches or bigger.
Wow. Well, that's good TV to watch. The NFL's Super Bowl Experience hosted the Pro Bowl games on Tuesday, but some fans were a bit dismayed that not everyone with a general admission ticket was allowed inside.
When the doors opened for the Pro Bowl games on site, fans without an additional separate ticket were turned away, despite thinking they paid to get into everything through general admission. Police then had to guard the event's side doors where an on-call line formed for the ticketless attendees who were waiting to possibly get in, like Nolan.
I just asked some people who are some representatives, I believe, that said they possibly do standby tickets on here. So that's why I stood right here.
Elizabeth was another fan who was confused by the ticketing process prior to arriving.
When you initially search and you're buying your ticket, it doesn't really specify.
Now, the turf field and bleachers were not totally inaccessible. All fans were allowed to walk inside and watch some flag football games with international and high school teams prior to that main event. In San Francisco, Ken Duffy, KCBS.
Have you heard of backyard Botox? It's a trend spreading on, guess what, TikTok, that has health experts very concerned.
It encourages people to self-inject Botox or other neurotoxins at home, often using products purchased online from unregulated sources. The trend is spreading like wildfire on TikTok.
What worries doctors like myself isn't just where these products are coming from, but that we don't really know what's actually in the vial or how strong it is.
Dr. Michael Zarabi is a board-certified plastic surgeon in Beverly Hills.
Whether it's Botox or an injectable or a medication, these are completely unregulated and they're being sold a lot of times through social media or DMs.
Dr. Zarabi says it's turning into a DIY world now when it comes to medications, and that, he says, could be very dangerous.
The death of an infant has prompted a health alert in the Southwest.
Health officials in New Mexico have issued a new warning urging people not to drink raw milk or eat raw milk products. They've linked the death of a newborn to a listeria infection, naming the most likely source unpasteurized milk the baby's mother consumed while she was pregnant. They say the case underscores the serious risk raw dairy poses to expectant women, young children, the elderly, and anyone with a weakened immune system. Pasteurization is a heat treatment process that destroys dangerous bacteria and pathogens. Deborah Rodriguez, CBS News.
It's 6:27. The time check sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating, Air Conditioning, Electrical, and Plumbing.
It's time for a $98 furnace tune-up.
Hey, Happy New Year, big boy. Hey, what's up, Izzy? Also known as the Kool-Aid Man. You got any New Year's resolutions?
I got one, Eddie. I've promised myself to spend more time on that toasty warm, huge, heated outdoor patio of yours. It's nothing like having your coat off, drinking the coldest beer in town with hundreds of your family, friends.
Man, it is a toasted patio, and that's a great resolution. And, thanks for not mentioning things like weight loss and health kick. And those would be hard in Fast Eddie's. It'd be hard to lose any kind of weight or take away from anything when you got the 5-pound Fat Eddie burger, the hot chick on a stick, that Big Elwood on a stick, and those succulent peel-and eat shrimp.
Yeah, I am not losing any weight hanging around your place. I learned it's a lot easier just to make those resolutions simple and fun, buddy.
Man, and that's easy. You're right. That's a great resolution. So make your resolution fun. And head on over to Fast Eddie's Bon Air. You know where to go across that big, beautiful Clark Bridge and come into Alton, Illinois. So like Mr. Shannon always said, if you're 21 and in the mood, we'll see you at Fast Eddie's Bon Air.
Kool-Aid Man.
This is the story of the one. As the purchasing manager at a manufacturing plant, she knows the only thing more important than having the right safety gear is having it there when you need it. That's why she partners with Grainger for auto reordering. so her team members can count on her to have cut-resistant gloves on hand, and each shift can run safely and efficiently. Call 1-800-GRANGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Well, good morning, kiddo. I love that you're home from college. I've missed you.
Still taking your Nature Made vitamins?
Every day. A multivitamin and a probiotic. You better be taking yours.
Still looking out for me, Mom.
I'll never stop.
Made to care for you every day. Nature Made, the #1 pharmacist recommended vitamin and supplement brand. Find us in the vitamin aisle, based on a survey of pharmacists who recommend branded vitamins and supplements.
The Humane Society of Missouri's 5th Annual Day of Giving is coming up. On February 10th, you'll hear powerful rescue stories of animals fighting to survive and the life-saving work of the Animal Cruelty Task Force. These stories will be shared throughout the day on local TV stations and anytime at hsmo.org/dog. They remind us why your support truly matters. Donations are welcome anytime at hsmo.org/dog. That's hsmo.org/dog.
Working full-time but still falling behind? Learn how real estate education can help you build income and get ahead on your terms. Text radio to 88007. That's RADIO to 88007. Presented by Lifestyles Unlimited.
It is 6:30, and right now it's 21 degrees with partly cloudy skies. At 6:30, I'm Debbie Monterrey.
And I'm Tom Ackerman. Let's go to Roger Brand in the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Well, there's definitely more volume on northbound 55, folks. Down south, we look okay coming up from Festus, but you do have a backup from about almost the Union Road overpass now up to the River to Pear. It's getting a little more solid through there. It's just a slowdown so far. Northbound 270. Just north of Doherty Ferry, headed up the hill toward Manchester, starting to see some slow traffic as well. Southbound 61 through Wentzville Parkway, but once you get on to 64 or 70, they're both in great shape, headed across the Missouri River bridges downtown, across the Mississippi River. Poplar and Mutual Veterans bridges are good to go. It's a little busy. Route 3 coming up through Queenie, Monsanto, but not a jam. We do have one injury crash in Jefferson County reported at 110 and Fountain City Road, so you may find some minor restrictions or delays there. Next update at 6:40 from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Hang on, because if you're tired of the cold weather, it's really going to start warming up as we head into the weekend. 32 today with clouds and sun. Then more clouds and sun tomorrow, 40, 47 on Friday. By Sunday, it's going to be 55, and we may be looking at 60-degree temperatures next week. Right now, though, it's just 21 degrees.
A plan to tear down a piece of Frenchtown history is facing sudden opposition from Jefferson City.
The debate over the American Car Foundry building is shifting to the state level, with 2 representatives pushing for its preservation. Republicans Travis Wilson and Colin Wellenkamp have asked the St. Charles City Council to reject demolition plans for Building 90, citing the need to protect the city's history as a manufacturing hub. Wellenkamp points to his own legislation, the Rebuilding Communities and Neighborhood Preservation Act, as the model for why the building should be saved. The lawmakers told the mayor that the city should prioritize adaptive reuse, arguing that maintaining the historic structure is a more sustainable approach than bulldozing it for new apartments. Michael Calhoun, KMOX News.
There's a new chair of the East-West Gateway Council of Governments. The council's board voted recently to appoint Madison County Board Chair Chris Slusser to the top spot. He says his selection reflects Madison County's expanding leadership in shaping the Metro St. Louis region's economy, infrastructure, and security priorities.
Members of the Missouri House Budget Committee have mixed reviews about the work of the State Department of Transportation. During a hearing Monday to review the next state budget request, Shellknob Representative Scott Cupps had several complaints he wanted to get off his chest from citizens in Southwest Missouri.
My business owners, they hate MoDOT. My municipal managers, they hate MoDOT. My county commissioners, because of issues they've had with you all, they would not tell you that because they don't want you to punish them, because you are adversarial. You do try to punish them. Construction companies, they hate you. Your own employees call me weekly.
MoDOT Director Ed Hassinger said good customer service and a good work environment are expectations he has of his workers.
Certainly specific instances where you believe that we're not living up to that, I'd like to know what they are. I really would.
MoDOT is requesting an additional 100 workers to help jobs such as mowing, signage upgrades, and the litter pickup.
The news is sponsored by Michael's Flooring Outlet, the flooring experts, michaelsflooringoutlet.com. It is 6:34.
Amy,
yes.
I have a real beef with bathroom doors in hotels. The stupid sliding door. No, give me a fully shut door, because the sliding door, you know what happens? There's always a gap.
There's a gap.
And so if you have a partner with you in the hotel room, there are sounds and smells and steam.
It puts a new meaning to the word butt crack.
The Chris and Amy Show, weekdays starting at 9 on 104.1 FM, KMOX.
In times that feel uncertain, music can bring us together. Join the St. Louis Symphony Orchestra for Prokofiev and Child's Anthems of Resilience. Experience a shared journey of hope through Prokofiev's Symphony No. 5, Rena Esmail's Remember, and Billy Child's Diaspora, featuring saxophonist Stephen Banks. February 6th and 7th at Powell Hall at the Jack C. Taylor Music Center. Tickets at slso.org.
There's a lot on the line in divorce. This is Joe Cordell of Cordell & Cordell, the largest family law firm in the country, with over 35 years of helping clients navigate divorce. Divorce touches all areas of your life: your home, savings, retirement, and of course, kids. So when you find yourself facing divorce, you need a partner you can count on.
If you are facing divorce, contact Cordell & Cordell today at 1-855-GET-LEGAL. The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements. 600 Kelwood, St. Louis.
It's 6:35, and your Money Minute is sponsored by Eamon Gander and Capriano, Elder Law Attorneys.
This is a Bloomberg Money Minute. Chipotle has been struggling to attract increasingly budget-conscious diners. Younger consumers have especially pulled back from the chain. Chipotle expects sales to be flat in 2026 following a decline last year. Management has pledged a number of changes, including more limited-time offers, new sauces, and lower-priced options such as single tacos. Checking on the market, stock futures are searching for direction this morning after yesterday's losses. Traders have been worried about the upheaval in the markets from the rise in artificial intelligence. S&P futures are up 6 points, Dow futures rising 130. Federal investigators have subpoenaed Texas-based oil driller Sable Offshore following a report that the company selectively disclosed information to investors, including pro golfer Phil Mickelson. Sable says it's providing documents and cooperating with the government. This report is sponsored by Fidelity. Courtney Donahoe, Bloomberg Radio.
For decades, Morgan & Morgan has represented hundreds of thousands of people at their hour of need. Injuries on the job, car crashes, medical malpractice, and nursing home abuse, Social Security claims, dangerous drugs, and dangerous products. We became America's largest injury firm for a reason, and no firm is even close. Then we got to thinking, what if we could prevent these terrible events before they occurred? So we built the AI-powered People Protector. Simply visit peopleprotector.com and type in the product you have questions about before you buy it. Children's toys and accessories, cars, drugs, products, you name it, we got it. With our success, we decided to pay it forward for all of America. Our way of saying thank you for your trust all these years. Morgan & Morgan, protecting America. And if you've already been injured, just visit us at forthepeople.com.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements. Past results afford no guarantee of future results. Every case is different and must be judged on its own merits.
My son loves to fly kites, but my active psoriatic arthritis can sometimes hold me back. Now with Skyrizi to treat my skin and joints, I'm ready to go. Skyrizi, Risankizumab Riza, a prescription-only 150 milligram injection for adults, helps with less joint pain, stiffness, swelling, and fatigue. For those who also have plaque psoriasis, 90% clearer skin is possible with just 4 doses a year after 2 starter doses.
Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions and an increased risk of infections or a lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check for infection and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection or symptoms such as fever, sweats, chills, muscle aches, or cough, or if you plan to or recently received a vaccine.
With Skyrizi, there's nothing like clearer skin and better movement, and that means everything. Ask your doctor about Skyrizi today and visit skyrizi.com or call 1-866-SKY-RIZZI to learn more.
St. Louis has a voice.
KMOX, the voice of St. Louis.
That voice has shared our stories from headline to history.
Another home run. 4 in a row for
From moment to memory.
President George Bush is on his way to St. Louis right now.
Among those voices, Ron Jacober.
Welcome back to the Voice of the Cardinals, KMOX.
Working at KMOX is an honor and a responsibility to represent this community. It's one we take seriously. KMOX, the voice of St. Louis.
Nothing makes a gathering great like Eggland's Best Eggs. They're just so delicious with better nutrition, too. For us, it's eggs any style, as long as they're the best. Eggland's Best. Better taste, better nutrition, better eggs.
Now, the news. At 9, The Talk. The Chris and Amy Show on 104.1 FM KMOX.
It is 6:39. Did you know that China is banning hidden car door handles?
China will ban hidden door handles on cars commonly used on Tesla's electric vehicles and many other EV models. Officials say all car doors will have to include a mechanical release function for handles, except for the tailgate. AP reporter Eduardo Castillo explains why.
Chinese authorities are saying that the reason behind this decision is to address safety security concerns. Basically because there have been some accidents involving allegedly some door problems. In more simple terms, that the doors didn't work and people couldn't get out.
The new requirement will take effect on January 1st, 2027, while car makers with already approved models will have until January the 1st, 2029 to comply. I'm Lawrence Brooks.
Let's see how the cars are looking out there. Roger Brand, Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Well, not bad so far, Tom. It's a pretty easygoing morning. I mean, we're getting busier, certainly, but it's nothing out of hand yet. If you're traveling up northbound on Highway 55, you got the usual delays from the Union Road overpass up to River to Pear, northbound 270. North of 44, there's slowed down traffic most of the way up to Manchester, and then again, north of Manchester up through Clayton Road to the work zone at Ladou's kind of busy. Southbound 61, just a little slow approaching 64 and 70, but once you get on them, they're both great runs across the Missouri River bridges. Eastbound 70 wide open from Wentzville all the way through, just like 64, even at the Interbelt 64 has no delays. I do see a little slowdown westbound 64 approaching Boyle, could have a stall there, and westbound 64 on the Illinois side, 3rd Street to the Poplar is a little bit busy, but again, not a jam there either. And they should be wrapping up that crash down in Jefferson County 110 at Fountain City Road. Next update at 6:50 from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
It is 6:41. Let's check in with our AccuWeather meteorologist, Joe Lundberg, who is here to let us know that we will get a bit of a break from winter coming up.
We will, and that's really going to come in starting on Sunday, Debbie. Temperatures today will only be around freezing, so about good 10 degrees below historical averages, with some sunshine. Partly cloudy tonight, it will dip into the upper teens. Tomorrow, a little bit warmer with more clouds and sun and a high of 40, and warmer still on Friday with sunshine, although the breeze picks up in the afternoon as another front drops through the area, the high 47. Behind that front, a little colder for Saturday with sunshine and some clouds and temperatures near 40. On Sunday, though, we get enough sunshine to boost temperatures up into the mid-50s, and I think we're going to be in the 50s on a consistent basis next week. Right now, 23 at St. Peter's, 21 in Florissant, partly cloudy and 25 downtown at the Arch. From the Saliga Heating and Cooling Weather Desk, I'm AccuWeather meteorologist Joe Lundberg on 104.1 FM KMOX.
Thank you, Joe. 6:42. Sports coming up in 3 minutes on Total Information AM. Lawyers for Jeffrey Epstein's victims and the Justice Department have reached a deal to protect victims' identities.
The attorneys had complained there were thousands of instances in the released Epstein files where the government failed to redact victims' names, email addresses, or other identifying information. One woman said she had gotten death threats. Yesterday, President Trump said he was unhappy that the women thought too much was released. He added,
I think it's really time for the country to get onto something else, really.
It's not clear how the Justice Department agreed to better protect victims' identities going forward. Michael Wallace, CBS News.
Bill Gates, speaking with Australia's 9 News, addressed the latest Jeffrey Epstein allegations from the last release of files. He said he met Epstein in 2011.
The focus was always he knew a lot of very rich people, and he was saying he could get them to give money to global health. You know, in retrospect, that was a dead end, and I was foolish to spend time with him. I was one of many people who regret ever knowing him.
Negotiators for Ukraine and Russia are huddling in the United Arab Emirates in hopes of finding a potential breakthrough and ending the 4-year-old war. The BBC's Chris Barrow with more.
Ukraine and Russia are due to begin 2 more days of peace talks in Abu Dhabi, which have been coordinated by the United States. On Tuesday, President Zelensky accused Russia of choosing terror over diplomacy after it resumed attacks on Ukraine's energy infrastructure. He called for more pressure on Moscow to make it negotiate for peace.
A federal judge in Florida will sentence Ryan Ruth today. A jury convicted Ruth of attempting to assassinate a major presidential candidate. CBS News legal contributor Jessica Levinson says Ruth represented himself during the trial.
Under federal sentencing guidelines and applicable statutes, attempted assassination of a presidential candidate does carry a maximum penalty of life in prison. The court will hear arguments regarding the appropriate sentencing range and will consider the nature and circumstances of the offense, the need for deterrence, protection of the public, respect for the law.
A controversial new recommendation for young people struggling with gender dysphoria.
The American Society of Plastic Surgeons has issued a new recommendation on gender-affirming surgery for trans teens. The group's updated guidance advises delaying procedures like mastectomies until the age of 19, citing lack of quality research on long-term outcomes, treatment complications, and potential harms. That differs with most major U.S. medical associations, which endorse treatments like puberty-blocking drugs, hormone therapies, and in some cases, surgery. The Trump administration calls the new recommendation another victory for biological truth. Deborah Rodriguez, CBS News.
Well, Josh Schertz was faced with a tough team last night. Davidson brought it. They looked great offensively. The Billikens were down by 13 at one point of the first half. And then they cut it to 5 with a couple of threes. Ishant Sharma and Brady Dunlap knocked down some big ones late in the first half. And it's a 5-point game at the break. To the locker room, Schertz went and decided to make some adjustments.
And I thought, if we could really defend and get out and run, then we could, but we just had trouble getting stops first half. Second half, I thought our defense really stiff, and even though we gave up 36, I thought it was a much better job on that end of the floor.
They did just that.
Still in deep, spins from 10. Yes!
Oh, Trey putting cats on skates that time. Look at Kellen
And
Thames.
stolen away by Thames. To the hole, layup good! Mr. Electric Kellen Thames. Steal and bucket.
Very quickly, the Billikens went up by 11 right there, 70-59. They went on a 16-0 run, and they would not let up.
Trey back out to Robbie. The cooler fakes the handoff. Gives it up to Dunlop. Brady from NBA range. Bang! Are you kidding me? Brady looks at the crowd, gives him a nod, and struts down the floor.
Brady Dunlap, who's been dealing with an illness for the last 10 days, gets 22 points on 6 of 6 shooting from 3. That's the best single-game three-point percentage in SLU history, and the Billikens won it at Davidson 91-82.
Deion Brown, people don't realize how tough it is to play 94 feet on-ball defense.
Yeah.
For 20, 35 minutes that he's out, 25 minutes, whatever he's out there.
Yeah.
That's one of the toughest things to do in sports, to guard quick, good, aggressive guards, doesn't matter. And he does.
I
thought that was such a key.
Yes.
I talked about the head of the snake, and Brown is a heck of a point guard who
yeah.
likes to attack, and Deion just did a marvelous job.
Yeah, you're talking about, we did the Javon Bennett, what he does to Brown tonight. He's able to, you put him on a point guard, and it just makes their lives miserable because they're working for every inch of that 94 feet. Every dribble's contested, and I got to get him to stop committing some of those fouls.
We tried.
He loves a good reach. He loves a good reach. He and Amari and KT did the same thing. I put them. We put people. We're putting people in the bonus, and like half our fouls are, on our backcourt, not even front court. Like, you got to be more disciplined, and that's hard. They want to get it going, and it's like good intention because they're trying to make a play, but we got to be more intelligent. And so it's an area of growth. But his ball pressure was fantastic.
Always trying to clean things up while praising his players at the same time. Josh Schertz and the Billikens 22-1. And 10-0 in the Atlantic 10. The 19th ranked Billikens host LaSalle this Saturday. We'll have it for you on KMOX at 2 o'clock with a 1:45 pregame. Southern Illinois won at Illinois State last night, 54-50. SIUE knocked off Lindenwood in St. Charles, 78-72. The Blues play tonight. It's an 8:30 face-off for them at Dallas. Final game before the Olympic break. Coming up at 7:15, more from Chaim Bloom, the Cardinals president of baseball operations, joined us on the Gas House Gang to discuss not only the Brendan Donovan trade, but what's next. He confirmed he is still shopping. I'm Tom Ackerman on the voice of the Cardinals and the Billikens, 104.1 FM KMOX.
It all comes down to this, folks.
Yep, the entire season is on the line. But my throat has officially thrown in the towel.
Sounds like you need Vicks VapoCool drops. They're max strength and vaporize sore throat pain.
Whoa! These VapoCool drops hit fast.
Speaking of fast, did you just see that play?
Yeah, he vaporized that ball.
That pun should have come with a penalty.
Vaporize sore throat pain with Vicks VapoCool drops. Use as directed.
This is the story of the one. As an HVAC technician, he and his digital multimeter are in high demand. So when a noisy office HVAC turns out to be a failing blower motor, he doesn't break a sweat. With Grainger's easy-to-use website and product information, he selects the product he needs to keep everything humming right along. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
For 100 years, KMOX has been a part of St. Louis. Now, those moments live on, preserved, remastered, and ready to be heard again. Discover KMOX from the Archives, a podcast featuring classic audio from a century of service.
Sponsored by Overhead Door Company of St. Louis, the genuine, the original.
The KMOX from the Archives podcast, available now at KMOX100.com or wherever you get your podcasts.
The Humane Society of Missouri's Day of Giving is just around the corner. On this day, your favorite local TV station will highlight incredible rescue stories of animals fighting to survive. Stories of courage, resilience, and hope. Visit the Humane Society website to watch these powerful stories and see the life-saving work made possible by compassionate donors like you. These stories underscore why it's so vital to support the HSMO. Go to KMOX.com/events today for more information.
Now the news at 1 the fun. It's the Dave Glover Show on 104.1 FM KMOX.
It is now 6:51, and we have a lot to get to. So let's start with traffic. Roger Brands in the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Well, we got a little trouble spot that just popped up, Debbie. In fact, police are just now pulling up on the scene. It's a minor crash. Well, I'm assuming it's minor. It's in the right lane, westbound 64, right over top of Vallis. So that's the lane that goes on to North 270. So that's the westbound 64 exit lane to North 270 blocked by a crash. And actually, police pulled up alongside it. So now they're blocking the two right lanes. So the right lanes are starting to back up a little bit there. I was talking earlier about a little bit of a delay westbound 64 at Boyle. Coming through Boyle, I thought maybe it was a stall or something. The right lane was backing up west of Grand, but it looks like just traffic getting off at Boyle, so they may have been held up by a Metrolink train or something in that area. By the way, once you get on to North 270, it's still a little slow into the work zone at Ladue. In fact, North 270 is slow from about Big Bend up to Ladue right now. Northbound 55, you've got the usual delays from about Bayless, but it runs up through Holly Hills. Coming in from out west, southbound 61, midway between P and Wentzville Parkway, down onto 64, slow, headed up the hill to Lake St. Louis Boulevard, eastbound 70 east of K to T.R. Hughes, a little bit busy. Downtown, westbound 64, west of 3rd Street to the Poplar, slow. Next update, it's 6:58 from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Joe Lundberg says we're going to have a cold day today, a high of only 32, Roger, and then tonight a low of 18. Tomorrow, a little warmer, a high of 40, and then Friday, sunny, breezy in the afternoon, a high of 47. Wait till you see next week. Saturday, sunny to partly cloudy, chilly, high near 40. But for Super Bowl Sunday, maybe some outdoor grilling is on the agenda. Sunshine, warmer afternoon, a high of 55. We could get up to 60 on Monday and Tuesday, says Joe. Right now, we're looking at what's a bit of a cloudy sky, but mostly clear at the moment. Partly cloudy, we'll say. 21 degrees downtown at the Arch.
The news continues at 6:53. A St. Louis alderwoman filed legislation Tuesday to block an ICE detention center from being built in the city. That bill would impose a 5-year moratorium on city permits and approvals for a detention center not run by the city. A spokesperson for Mayor Spencer says the city is not aware of any plans for a new ICE detention center in St. Louis.
The White House press secretary called out the repeated criticism of ICE at the Grammy Awards, accusing celebrities of demonizing law enforcement from the safety of gated communities. That happened while relatives of Renee Good and Alex Preddy, both shot to death by federal agents last month, told their story in Washington. CBS News correspondent Nicole Scango with more.
Testifying on Capitol Hill,
we're here to ask for your help.
Brothers of Renee Good, Brent and Luke Ganger, spoke out for the first time.
Her children were and are her heart.
Just outside Minneapolis, Brooklyn Park Mayor Hollis Winston says his city will take years to recover.
We will be grappling with this 5 to 10 years from now.
His police chief, Mark Bruley, says federal agents have also targeted his off-duty officers.
Experts figure about 15% of Americans suffer from the winter blues, but another 5% have more serious symptoms, leading to a diagnosis of seasonal affective disorder.
If you're a little down because it's cold and you want more sun, but you're still functioning, you've got the winter blues. But if you're sleeping a lot and not feeling like you can face the day, you're probably suffering from seasonal affective disorder. Dr. Alicia Kaplan is a psychiatrist at the Allegheny Health Network in Pittsburgh.
It puts a lot of dread and gloom on.
She says such a diagnosis may mean you should seek professional help, everything from talk therapy to light therapy to medication. Christopher Cruz, CBS News.
The U.S. Department of Health and Human Services says you can help yourself by going outside in the sunlight, doing something you enjoy, spending time with friends and family, and eating healthy.
It's 6:55.
I heard it's somebody's birthday.
Birthday excitement. It's your birthday.
Some celebrity birthdays in the sports world. Lawrence Taylor, one of the greatest players in NFL history, Pro Football Hall of Famer, is 67 today. Oscar De La Hoya, one of the great boxers of all time, is 53. He once paid us a visit to KMOX, hung out with us in the sports office back in the day. Alice Cooper is 78, and Clint Black is 64.
The birthday shout out is sponsored by Renner Garage Door, RENNER, forward and back, family owned and top rated, RennerDoorSTL.com. Happy birthday wishes going out to Denise Dow, Neil Gelman, Joel Emery, and Joe Rowe from the Life Group.
It's the best birthday ever.
Hey, St. Louis City SC fans, mark your calendars now. The Boys in Red return to Energizer Park to kick off Season 4 Saturday, February 21st. And you could be there for the dawn of a new golden era of St. Louis soccer. Go to stlcitysc.com/tickets and reserve your seat now for the MLS home opener versus Charlotte FC. Limited quantities remain. See you soon, St. Louis.
Soulard is going to the dogs. Make sure to bring your four-legged friend to the streets of Soulard for the 33rd annual Purina Pet Parade, the world's largest costume pet parade. It all starts at 12th and Allen, Sunday, February 8th at 1 p.m. And KMOX's own Dave Glover will be leading the pack as the parade's Grand Marshal. Sign up today to march in the parade with your dog. The event supports Open Door Animal Sanctuary. For more details, PurinaPetParade.com. Don't miss this annual St. Louis Mardi Gras tradition. Sponsored by Purina.
Zero Res wants to give your home the love and attention it deserves. Get 3 rooms of carpet cleaned starting at just $119. Take $75 off your air duct cleaning. Book online at ZeroResSTL.com and mention the KMOX special. Glover here for my friends at Cantor Injury Law. Cantor is local, and we're here doing the work every day. We're right here in St. Louis, and we're ready to fight for you. CantorInjuryLaw.com or call 314-628-9999.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be solely based on advertisements.
It's a great time, if there's ever a great time, to purchase a furnace or an air conditioner. I know it's winter. We got some great pricing. You can get 0% financing. So if you have been told that you need a new furnace, definitely give me a call. I could probably save you lots of money. Get a second opinion. Call me. Next day installs for your furnace so you won't be without heat very long. A furnace average install about 2-3 hours for a furnace. So not a big issue to do it now. And like I said, great pricing. So if that's you, call me. It's Bart Inman. One easy number, Missouri and Illinois. Just the easiest number. And there's one. 314-293-2600. Again, 314-293-2600. Or on the internet, it is Bart with a B, Inman with an I.com. God bless.
Let's check the roads. Roger Brand, Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Well, Tom, we got trouble, as I mentioned in the last report, with a crash blocking the right lanes westbound 64 at Ballas. It's getting onto North 270, and the original crash is still out there. It looks like it may be blocking the right lane as well, westbound 64, just before you merge onto North 270. So it's more at the end of the ramp, and this one's right as you cross Ballas before you get to the ramp. So double trouble there. So eastbound 64 is jammed getting onto North 270. Westbound 64, those right lanes are backing up past Ballas. North 270, Doherty Ferry up to 64, slow. Westbound 64 also a little busy at the Interbelt. Northbound 55, Bayless up through Virginia, kind of heavy. Westbound 64, a little slow downtown at the Poplar. And southbound 61, Wentzville Parkway into 64 at the Boulevard's busy. Next update is 710 from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Today is Wednesday, February 4th. I'm Debbie Monterrey. Data center development in the city of St. Louis. Michael Calhoun is following the latest on a proposed Midtown project.
I'm Tom Ackerman.
Crying helps me slow down and obsess over the weight of life's problems.
St. Louis and Phyllis Smith as sadness in Inside Out. Coming up next, we'll talk to a doctor who says when you're sad, you should let out a good cry.
This is AccuWeather meteorologist Joe Lundberg. It'll be cold today with clouds and some sunshine, the high near freezing.
Unbelievable. Great comeback by the Billikens. They win it 91-82.
And we'll have the full report on the way at 7:15 at the Tone. It's 7.
Celebrating 100 years of informing and entertaining. KMOX AM St. Louis. KMOX FM Hazelwood. The voice of St. Louis.
This is CBS News on the Hour, your home for original reporting.
I'm Deborah Rodriguez. 4 days and counting, and still no sign of Today Show anchor Savannah Guthrie's 84-year-old mother, Nancy, since she disappeared from her home in Arizona. Pima County Sheriff Chris Nanos.
The Guthries are very distraught, very concerned. What's important is we find Mom and we bring her back home safe.
They're zeroing in on a ransom note. Correspondent Jonathan Vigliotti is in Tucson.
I spoke with the sheriff yesterday, who tells me they received this apparent note on Monday night. They quickly handed it over to the FBI, who is now analyzing it. They have not confirmed its authenticity, but I am told specific details within that note warranted showing it to the Guthrie family.
Investigators say it's a race against time, with the medication Nancy needs every 24 hours left behind when she was abducted. A judge in Portland, Oregon, has temporarily blocked federal officers from using tear gas on anti-ICE protesters after agents gassed a crowd at what was billed a family demonstration over the weekend.
I will never forget the look of absolute terror in my kids' eyes when they realized that their government was shooting chemical munitions at them.
U.S. officials say a Navy jet shot down an Iranian drone that was aggressively approaching a U.S. aircraft carrier in the Arabian Sea. Correspondent Charlie D'Agata from Washington.
The White House confirmed Tuesday that talks with Iran are still scheduled for later this week, led by Special Envoy Steve Witkoff, as the administration continues to push for diplomacy despite rising tensions in the region.
Colleges have been seeing drastic shifts in their racial makeup since the Supreme Court banned race-conscious admissions.
The nonprofit education group Class Action looked at college enrollment data from 2024, a year after the Supreme Court ruling. It found at the 50 most selective schools, Black freshman enrollment was down 27% and Latino enrollment was down 10%. Many of those rejected students turned to public flagship universities, where minority enrollment was up 8%. Class Action warns the trend may have long-term effects on the earnings of minority students who attend less selective schools. Michael Wallace, CBS News.
Forget the pricey commercials. It's chatbots that'll be driving consumer demand at the Super Bowl. Adobe Analytics' Vivek Pandya expects AI referrals will soar 444% Sunday.
As consumers, look at different ads, things like that, want to know more information, we're anticipating them engaging more with these AI chatbots, and that's going to really drive a strong level of traffic.
This is CBS News.
Real crimes, real justice. Follow and listen to 48 Hours on the free Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcasts.
If you're drowning in IRS debt and can't afford to pay, then you need to take advantage of special IRS tax programs that are available and free yourself from IRS collection efforts once and for all. Due to the financial hardship consumers are facing throughout the country, the Internal Revenue Service has made it easier to settle delinquent tax problems. An open phone line has been established by Community Tax for consumers to call and see if they qualify. Take down this number or store it in your cell phone, but call the Community Tax Helpline at 800-793-9858. If you owe back taxes to the IRS and cannot afford to pay them back, or even if you have years of unfiled tax returns, there's no need to fear anymore. But you have to call the Community Tax Helpline today at 800-793-9858 for the help that you need. Don't take on the IRS alone. They can attack your wages, savings, pension, home, and even your Social Security check. Call 800-793-9858 for your free consultation and to see if you qualify. That's 800-793-9858.
It is 7:04, and right now we've got partly cloudy skies, 21 degrees in downtown St. Louis. I'm Debbie Monterrey.
And I'm Tom Ackerman. A check of traffic with Roger Brand coming up in 6 minutes. In the news this morning, the city of St. Louis rolls out a new draft of rules to control where and how data centers are built.
The city's new playbook for tech development bets on smaller, smarter facilities instead of massive server farms. The Planning and Urban Design Agency is releasing draft rules that require data centers to limit noise pollution and maintain active ground floors for pedestrians. But the report also admits a hard reality. St. Louis City simply doesn't have the land for those giant hyperscale facilities that are proposed for suburbs like St. Charles. Instead, the city is writing regulations specifically for edge data centers. Those are the smaller sites that boost network reliability but fit neatly into existing city blocks. Developers want to turn the old famous bar warehouse on Market Street into a nearly 500,000 square foot data center. The Planning Commission will review the smart regulation strategy coming up on February 11th. Michael Calhoun, KMOX News.
The president of the St. Louis Sports Commission says St. Louis will have another connection with LA 28. It's not only Energizer Park being selected as a venue for the Olympic soccer group stage matches.
Mark Schreiber says they are working to make sure that St. Louis is part of the torch relay in 2028, and the city is currently bidding on the 2028 U.S. Olympic Marathon Trials.
We're actually a finalist city for that event.
President and CEO Brad Dean of Explore St. Louis says St. Louis has a rich history in soccer, and there's something else.
We get to join the promotional hype for the next 2 years. So this allows us to put St. Louis on the pedestal that it deserves. And long before the first hotel reservations made, long before the first ticket is actually turned in, we will actually experience the benefits from global publicity.
Maria Kina, KMOX News.
There's a job vacancy at Webster Grove City Hall. City Manager Marie Peoples has announced her resignation after less than 5 years holding the position. The Webster Kirkwood Times reports Peoples addressed a standing room only crowd last night and says she's grateful to the community for its engagement and extremely proud of what's been accomplished together.
The smell of pot has gotten so strong, Rock Hill residents are calling on city leaders to do something about it. Rock Hill Municipal Code requires all cannabis facilities to have odor control systems and that the smell must not be detectable by a person with a, quote, normal sense of smell beyond its facility.
A spokesperson for Proper Brand, which has a 100,000 square foot cannabis facility in Rock Hill, says the company can't completely eliminate the smell. Rock Hill's city attorney told Proper to find a solution. As someone who lives nearby, I can confirm it's very strong. You can smell it very easily on McKnight Road as you're approaching Manchester.
I find that the smell of marijuana is almost everywhere lately.
Yeah, it's definitely there.
Yeah. From the KMOX business desk, how does paid parking sound at the mall? Plaza Frontenac now has a small designated lot where you'll have to pay to park. There are 120 paid spots out of the 2,500 total spaces at Plaza Frontenac. The mall's owner says the goal is to ease parking congestion. The company has already implemented paid parking at several of its malls across the country.
It's 7:07. We'll check traffic and weather next.
Okay, I have to tell you, I was just looking on eBay where I go for all kinds of things I love, and there it was.
That hologram trading card. One of the rarest, the last one I needed for my set. Shiny like the
designer handbag of my dreams. One of a kind. eBay had it, and now everyone's asking, ooh, where'd you get your
windshield wipers? eBay has all the parts that fit my car. No more annoying, just beautiful
Millions of finds, each with a story. eBay. Things people love.
You've got a big day, so you use Unstoppable scent boosters to give your laundry nonstop freshness. So no matter how long the day goes, you
can't stop this power, this walk, this pose, this strut, this look, this talk.
Your clothes will be so fresh you can confidently strut into that end of the day meeting like a
bosses. Let's talk business in my office.
Add new Unstoppables beads to your wash for 24-hour nonstop freshness, so you can smell unstoppable.
February 10th is the Humane Society of Missouri's annual Day of Giving, bringing attention to animal abuse and neglect and the heartbreaking conditions many animals endure before help arrives. Through powerful rescue stories, you'll see the reality of neglect, suffering, and abuse, and how compassion and support will help give animals a second chance. Watch these true rescue stories today and donate at hsmo.org/dog. That's hsmo.org/dog.
Looking for your dream home in Wentzville? Welcome to Sutton Farms by Lombardo Homes, where community and comfort come together. Enjoy resort-style living with a private clubhouse, indoor courts, a splash pad, sand volleyball, walking trails, and even a dog park. Design your own custom home in our Parkside, Nature, or Tradition series, all within the top-rated Wentzville School District. Discover the perfect blend of small-town charm and modern convenience at Sutton Farms, located off Piney Road in Wentzville. Visit lombardohomes.com to learn more.
This hour of Total Information AM is sponsored by Gamma Tree Experts.
It is 7:10 and time for us to get you an update on your ride in on this chilly Wednesday morning. Roger Brand is in the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Well, they're still working with this crash, Debbie, blocking the two right lanes, westbound 64 at Ballas. Those are the exit lanes to get onto North 270. So you have to get around the crash to get onto North 270. So the right lane's back up, not even midway back to Spady, just coming down the hill. They're approaching Ballas. Eastbound 64 backed up, ramping onto North 270 because we had an earlier crash at the end of that ramp that was in the right-hand lane as well. And North 270 itself, Doherty Ferry all the way up through the Ladue area construction zone is busy. Southbound 61, Wentzville Parkway down to 64 slow, but after that, it's good to go to get to that North 270 exit lane. If you're going that way, you'll be backed up, but otherwise you're clear all the way into the Interbelt. Eastbound 70 from Lake St. Louis to Bryan Road, K to TR Hughes, a couple of slow spots there. Northbound 55, Bayless up to River to Pears, heavy. Northbound Telegraph, north of Herb approaching Baumgartner up to Pottle. There's some heavy traffic, a jam downtown. Northbound Route 3 from almost Judith, I'd say north of Jerome through Judith, all the way up to Monsanto, bumper to bumper. Southbound, only a backup at 8th Street. Obviously, a train is crossing there. Downtown, though, westbound 5570 has a little bit of a slowdown approaching 111, but after that, 64 and 5570 both clear across the Poplar and Mutual Veterans Bridges. Next update is 720 from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
KMOX AccuWeather, a cold day today with intervals of clouds and sunshine and a high around freezing, partly cloudy, cold tonight, low 18. Tomorrow, more clouds and sun with a high near 40. Friday, mostly sunny and becoming breezy in the afternoon with a high of 47. From the Saliga Heating and Cooling Weather Desk, I'm AccuWeather meteorologist Joe Lundberg on 104.1 FM KMOX.
It's partly cloudy, 21 degrees downtown at the Arch.
It's 7:11. Harris Stowe State University is adding a $62 million STEM building. Dr. Harvey Fields is the founding dean in the College of STEM. He tells MissouriNet they want to open the doors of STEM career possibilities.
The other thing to do for students is that we're committed that all of our students will be able to get some hands-on experience in their STEM areas. And so we want to make sure that they have the internships and all the research experiences.
Officials recently broke ground on the project. The building's expected to be ready for fall classes in 2027.
The African American History Initiative at the Missouri Historical Society aims to preserve and share the stories of Black Missourians from throughout the region's history, and its new director is Laya LaFleur. Her mother, Shirley Bradley LaFleur, was St. Louis Poet Laureate, and she says coming to work at the Missouri History Museum is like coming full circle.
One of her most powerful pieces that most people remember is Rivers of Women. And I produced that, directed it, sold out shows at the museum probably about 15 years ago in 2 different runs.
Laya is an award-winning producer and New York Times bestselling author. The History Museum's Mill Creek Black Metropolis has already seen 40,000 visitors and widespread acclaim, including a write-up in the New York Times.
The Jefferson Barracks complex in South St. Louis County is celebrating 200 years in 2026.
We see Jefferson Barracks
starting as kind of that central western point. And we have fought in every war from the Black Hawk War of the 1830s all the way through the end of World War II.
That's museum director Jeffrey Edison, who says there will be a D-Day showcase in June that celebrates the land's bicentennial, as well as an event this fall that'll mark the first public access to the National Guard base there since the park's 175th birthday.
Well, ever feel like you just need a good cry?
Maybe you do. Dr. Michael Mahan has had a 35-year career in behavioral health. He tells Total Information AM, crying can return your body to homeostasis.
Homeostasis is the scientific word for balance. So it's actually the very first requirement for life. If you think about what is life, the very first requirement is that it has to seek homeostasis. That is a basic function of life.
How much should you cry?
Really, the answer to that question is whatever your body needs.
So what about people who never cry?
You are clearly holding something in. I mean, you have the biological capacity for sadness and tears for a reason. If a person is not crying, then they must be therefore repressing that. I mean, if a person never got happy, no one would say, oh, well, that's okay. You can just live your life and never be happy. You would say, hey, you need to do something about that because that's not healthy.
Fred Bottomer, KMOX News.
Well, happy tears only after this last night.
Sam Brown got it. Short jump. That's no good. Rebound, Dion. Almost fell out of bounds. Got it to Dunlap, and that's the ball game. Unbelievable. Great comeback by the Billikens. They win it 91-82.
After trailing by 13 in the first half, the Billikens cut it to 5 at the break. Then they stormed out in the second half. A 16-0 run in the second half built a big lead for SLU, and they held on by 9. 91-82 over Davidson to improve to 22-1 overall. The Billikens are 10-0 in the Atlantic 10. They're ranked 19th in the country. They've won 16 in a row. Their coach is Josh Schertz.
20, 35 minutes that he's out, 25 minutes, whatever he's out there. Yeah, that's one of the toughest things to do in sports, to guard quick, good, aggressive guards, doesn't matter. And he does. I thought that was such a key.
Yes.
I talked about the head of the snake, and Brown is a heck of a point guard who likes to attack, and Dion just did a marvelous job.
Yeah, you're talking about, we did the Javon Bennett, what he does to Brown tonight. He's able to, you put him on a point guard, and it just makes their lives miserable because they're working for every inch of that 94 feet.
Josh Schertz with Earl Austin Jr. there.
Oh, I agree. He, he had the huge and one that laid on the drive, had the one where we got the ball to him with 5 at the nail, and they were switching, and he thought he got fouled, but he makes that shot, which was remarkably hard. Got some key rebounds, and also got his hands on some that he didn't get, that he bats out, and he does a great job around the rim of just, contesting and not fouling and using, being 6'10" and his body to kind of, get it in there. A lot of, I get asked all the time, like, how are you guys such a good 2-point defense team without shot blocking? And, our guards are a big part of that because they're length, but he's a huge part of that because he anchors everything. And no, he doesn't block it, but he alters and he bothers and he makes you miss. And those things are huge. And no, he was, and I don't know how much of that was, was his legs and how much of that was, him being sick and everything.
Yeah,
right. But he also, you're going to have those nights every now and then, but, it's an example of, hey, you can go 1 for 8 from 3 and you can still drive winning in so many ways. Basketball's is part of what makes it great is how many ways you can impact and affect it. And so, the job he did defensively, the job he was, the team defensive concepts, had some big plays, got downhill, had some tough finishes. He's always down the stretch, a guy, he and Ish are just, they're so steady.
He's talking about Robbie Avila right there, who finished with 17 points after dealing with an illness for the past few days. The Billikens also had a monster game out of Brady Dunlap, who has been sick off and on for the last couple of weeks. He's been battling through it, and Dunlap was able to score 22 points on 6 of 6 from 3. That's the best performance by a three-point shooter percentage-wise, 6 for 6 in SLU history, as the Billikens get the win 91-82 at Davidson. They're 22-1, and they will host LaSalle this coming Saturday afternoon at 2 on KMOX. Southern Illinois won at Illinois State 54-50. SIUE won at Lindenwood 78-72. And the Blues play tonight. They will be taking on Dallas on the road. That one gets going at 8:30 tonight. Chaim Bloom, the Cardinals president of baseball operations, we will ask him what is next for the Cardinals after the Brendan Donovan trade. Is there still more to come? He says yes. That's at 7:45 on the home of the Cardinals and the Billikens, 104.1 FM KMOX.
Texting privacy policy and terms and conditions posted at textingterms.us. Texting enrolls you for recurring automated text marketing messages. Message data rates may apply. Reply stop to opt out.
This is an important message for all parents of teens. If your teen or preteen is or has been addicted to social media sites such as Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, TikTok, or YouTube, and they have suffered from eating disorders, body image issues, anxiety, depression, or suicidal thoughts, you may be eligible to participate in a lawsuit for significant compensation. Disclosures by a Facebook whistleblower show Instagram and Facebook know their social media platforms were highly addictive and may have caused eating disorders, body image issues, depression, and suicidal ideation. It appears these social media companies knew they had been causing serious harm to kids, but have done little to stop it. If your teen has been harmed by social media like Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, TikTok, or YouTube, then you could be eligible for significant compensation. If you'd like to discuss a lawsuit, text LEVEL to 323232, LEVEL to 323232, LEVEL to 323232.
Paid non-attorney spokesperson, Media Advertising Specialists, LLC, is responsible for the content of this ad with principal offices in Chicago, Illinois.
Life has felt pretty heavy lately. So if you need something to look forward to, maybe a reminder of what a beautiful country the United States of America is, we've got an amazing trip planned for September. So get on it now because you want to secure your space. But we're doing a 5-day Arizona adventure. That's right. In September, we're heading west for Arizona, based in Flagstaff, where we will check out Sedona's Red Rock Country, the Grand Canyon, Lake Powell. It is going to be beautiful, incredible history, adventure, scenery, all without the crowds or the summer heat. I am told September is the perfect time to go. So get on it now. Visit travelwithdebbie.net to book your Arizona escape. Arizona in September with me and KMOX listeners, travelwithdebbie.net, or you can call 800-383-3131, travelwithdebbie.net. Hope you can join me for this great trip in September to the Grand Canyon, Lake Powell, and Sedona. Let's go to Arizona.
Total Information AM. The news continues on 104.1 FM KMOX.
With Roger Brand. He's in the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Well, Tom is still working with this crash in the right lanes, westbound 64 at 270 at the ramp to get onto North 270. So if you're on westbound 64, it's getting busier coming out of the city. So we'll call it Clayton Skinker out to Bellevue, bumper to bumper. There was a crash they cleared to the shoulder before Hanley. So after you get past the city limits, it's kind of slow. And then again, it's slow in the right lanes approaching 270 because you have to go outside these two lanes and then get back in them to access northbound 270 until they can clear this crash. Northbound 270 itself, it's bogged down from 55 up to Gravois and then north of Big Bend, most of the way up to Ladou's pretty busy. Northbound 55, the right lanes are a little slow around Mattis. All lanes back up from north of the Union Road overpass up to River to Pear. Northbound Route 3 downtown is jammed from south of Jerome now, almost Camp Jackson, up through Monsanto. Southbound's backed up through 8th Street train crossing there, so that's not getting any better, unfortunately. Out west, southbound 61 Wentzville Parkway down onto 64, just to Prospect, but then it gets rolling. Eastbound 70, the right lanes are bogged down at Z. Lake St. Louis to Bryan Road, East Acay to T.R. Hughes. There's a little slow traffic as well. And we have this incident. It looks like I can't tell if it's a stall or a crash on westbound 5570. It's about midway between 255 and 111. Traffic's backed up at Black Lane. Next update at 7:30 from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Let's take a look at that forecast. We just need to get through today because today is going to be 32 degrees. Typical January weather, clouds and some sunshine. 18 overnight. Then tomorrow, clouds and sun, 40, but 47 on Friday. We'll be mid-50s by Sunday, maybe closing in on 60 or above as we start the next week. Yeah, I said 60s. Right now, though, it's 21 degrees downtown.
The news continues at 7:22. Colleges have seen drastic shifts in their racial makeup since the Supreme Court banned race-conscious admissions. We get more from CBS News correspondent Michael Wallace.
The nonprofit education group Class Action looked at college enrollment data from 2024, a year after the Supreme Court ruling. It found at the 50 most selective schools, Black freshman enrollment was down 27%, and Latino enrollment was down 10%. Many of those rejected students turned to public flagship universities, where minority enrollment was up 8%. Class Action warns the trend may have long-term effects on the earnings of minority students who attend less selective schools. Michael Wallace, CBS News.
Today is World Cancer Day, an international day to raise awareness about cancer and to encourage cancer prevention. We get more from correspondent Michael George.
Cancer is the number 2 leading cause of death worldwide, affecting 1 in 5 people during their lifetime. The Union for International Cancer Control estimates over 40% of cancer deaths are preventable through cutting tobacco and alcohol use and addressing obesity.
Well, it's the talk of the sports world right now.
Here's Lindsey Vonn wearing the Audi leader's bib for the downhill tour of 2026. A 2-time winner here in Cromontana. Where is Vonn? Where is Vonn?
That's the call on NBC Sports. Right before Olympic skier Lindsey Vonn tore her ACL last Friday. And despite that crash, she is still vowing to compete in the Winter Games. Can she really do that? Won't she even further damage her body? Here is top Los Angeles orthopedic surgeon Robert Clapper, who works frequently with elite athletes.
It's so admirable because I haven't heard this type of passion since Kobe Bryant. We recognize that all elite athletes, they all have the God-given talent. But what separates the Wayne Gretzky, the Michael Jordan, the Kobe Bryant, the elite of the elite is the mental, the heart of the champion. And that is actually what you're hearing.
You know, normally in the past, there's always a moment where you break down and you realize the severity and that your dreams are slipping through your fingers, but I didn't have that this time. I'm going to do it.
Look back in her past. In 2007, she sprained her ACL in her right knee. It wasn't until 6 years later that she completely tore the ACL in the right knee. And that's not even the knee we're talking about. We're talking about her left knee where she completely tore the ACL. So when she, with this history, says to you, I'm going to be there, you got to believe her. She'll wear a brace. She knows exactly what she's doing.
Dr. Clapper thinks Vonn can do this because the rest of her legs are so strong and well-conditioned.
So if you're able to strengthen the muscles, you wear a brace externally, you will actually be able to provide stability. Many patients I take care of, you tear your ACL, you can barely walk. But if you're blessed with these other structures, your muscles are extra strong, they can make up for the isolated tear in her ACL. And I think she has that gift.
Dr. Clapper was asked whether Lindsey Vonn might actually be a bad role model for kids who will think it's a good thing to ignore serious injuries.
Great question. So here's my answer to you. When you rip the Achilles in Kobe's case, it's completely torn. You are not making my job as a surgeon harder because of continuing to play. And I would argue you are not making my job harder, Lindsey Vonn, in rebuilding your ACL by going to ski. I want to live in a world where we are showing our kids passion.
In downhill, it's a very dangerous sport and anything can happen. And because I push the limits, I crash. Those are the cards that I've been dealt.
And I believe that's what's on display here. The mental aspects of sports. To me, I love showcasing the passion. And as long as I'm giving the patient a green light that you can't really make my job that much harder if you go and ski, I still have to rebuild it later, then I want the kids to see what passion is really like.
That's LA orthopedic surgeon Dr. Robert Clapper talking about Olympian Lindsey Vonn.
That is amazing stuff. A couple of years ago, Indiana quarterback Curtis Rourke finished the season. He played all season, and it was revealed at the end of the year that he had played on a torn ACL, the quarterback for Indiana. That's incredible. I'm always amazed when the Blues and other hockey players, when the season comes to an end, and they're like, oh, by the way, he played with a broken foot for the last week of the season. Things like that.
Well, not only is Lindsey Vonn going to be in the Olympics injured, she's also 41 years old.
Yeah, this is the Olympics we're talking about, where you have to be so precise, and it's the best of the best in the world. This is an incredible story, it really is. 7:27 time check, sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating, Air Conditioning, Electrical, and Plumbing.
It's time for a $98 furnace tune-up.
audiology.com. I'm Dr. Colleen Bosler with the Audiology Center, and I'm talking with my associate, Dr. Adam Voss. What happens to a person's brain when they ignore their hearing loss?
There is such a strong connection between the ear and the brain. Ignoring your hearing loss can cause the brain to become lazy and the speech areas in the brain to shrink. This is partially why you can hear the words, but you cannot understand them. If a hearing loss goes untreated for too long, it may cause an irreversible change in the brain. It is incredibly important to have your hearing screened at 60 or older, or sooner if you're noticing difficulty. And the sooner someone treats their hearing loss, the better and quicker their brain will adapt to hearing sound again. Studies show that those who get hearing aids, even with a mild hearing loss, are much more successful hearing aid users as compared to those that wait longer.
So call us today to get your comprehensive hearing evaluation with one of our doctors. 636-441-7470, or visit us online, theaudiologycenterstl.com.
Want to hear a shocking statistic? Medical malpractice is the third leading cause of death in America. Don't believe it? Google it. And that doesn't count serious injuries like birth injuries to perfectly healthy children. All doctors wear white jackets, but it doesn't make them all the same. Most medical errors are committed by the same quacks over and over again. I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. Many hospitals looking for more profits are forcing doctors and their groups to be employees of the hospital or be forced out of their system. It's a troubling trend in medicine. People make mistakes, but medical mistakes are huge and often forever. If you believe your child suffered a birth injury or a misdiagnosis or mistake led to a loved one's death or injury, let our team of medical malpractice lawyers examine your case for free. No recovery, no fee. Morgan & Morgan, for the people.com.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements. Past results afford no guarantee of future results. Every case is different and must be judged on its own merits.
St. Louis has a voice.
This is KMOX, the voice of St. Louis.
That voice has shared our stories from headline to history.
The St. Louis Blues are the Stanley Cup champions.
From moment to memory.
Now there is only one Berlin.
Among those voices, Wendy Weiss.
We'll have more on the troop deployment to Bosnia.
Working at KMOX is an honor and a responsibility to represent this community. It's one we take seriously. KMOX, the voice of St. Louis.
Let's go!
You've still got it, but your immune system weakens as you age, making it harder to fight flu, pneumococcal pneumonia, RSV, and COVID-19. Ask your doctor or pharmacist which vaccines you need. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Want a great way to boost your brand? Custom labels at Staples will help your packages pop, shipments stand out, and takeout boxes really take off. Shop now through April 18th and save 30% on all custom labels. Staples. That was easy.
It is 7:30 and it's 21 degrees with partly sunny skies. I'm Debbie Monterrey.
And I'm Tom Ackerman. Roger Brands in the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Well, they cleared that crash we had westbound 64 at the 270 exit, so that's cleared up. Things are getting back to normal there. Westbound 64, otherwise, we have a backup from about the Science Center headed out through McCausland, slow most of the way to Hanley. We had an earlier minor crash in the area there that they cleared. Eastbound 64 coming off 61, southbound 61, Wentzville Parkway into 64 to Prospect. It's kind of slow east of Guns to Clarkson, and then McKnight into that Big Bend area. South 270, just kind of off the pace, Olive to Ladue. North 270, though, delays as you ramp on from 55, pretty much all the way up to Ladue. Eastbound Highway 70, Wentzville Parkway into 64, slow. Lake St. Louis Boulevard through Bryan Road, K to TR Hughes, approaching 94 to 5th Street. That's all pretty busy. Northbound Highway 55, the right lanes are bogged down at Butler Hill. All lanes back up from Revis up to River to Pear. Not a solid jam, but it's pretty darn congested all the way through there. On the Illinois side, westbound 5570 still has a backup west of Black Lane, midway into 111 because of an incident. 64 slow from the 70 split in spots to the bridge, and northbound Route 3 from north of Jerome up through Monsanto, pretty much all the way up to the bridge now, Jim, because of an earlier train crossing. Next update is 740 from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
All right. Today feels like January with clouds and sun and a high of 32. Tomorrow will feel the same, clouds and sun, high 40. But then Friday gets mostly sunny, 47. By Sunday, mid-50s and maybe 60s as we head into next week. It's 21 degrees right now.
It's 7:32. The home of St. Louis City SC, Energizer Park, has been selected as a venue for the 2028 Summer Olympics group stage soccer matches. The club's president, Diego Gigliani, said the selection marks the confidence placed in St. Louis as a host city and in the stadium as a world-class venue for the world's game.
Accessibility is central to this venue, with multiple features that ensure fans of all abilities feel welcome, and that commitment aligns perfectly with the spirit of the Olympic Games.
While Explore St. Louis is not putting a dollar amount on what this means for the region, Brad Dean says, suffice it to say, it's in the millions of dollars.
A St. Louis alderwoman has filed legislation to block an ICE detention center from being built in the city. That bill would impose a 5-year moratorium on permits and approvals for a detention center that's not run by the city. A spokesperson for Mayor Spencer says the city's not aware of any plans for a new ICE detention center in St. Louis.
A man is dead following an overnight shooting in North St. Louis. Police say it happened around 1:30 in the Baden neighborhood. Officers found the victim in the 1200 block of Peggy Court. No word on any suspects.
2 state lawmakers are formally intervening to stop the demolition of an historic landmark in St. Charles.
Representatives Travis Wilson and Colin Wellenkamp have sent a joint letter to Mayor Dan Borgmeyer and the city council, urging them to save American Car Foundry building number 90. Developers have proposed tearing down the former rail car facility in Frenchtown to build new multifamily housing, but the lawmakers argue this would harm the character of the neighborhood. Instead, Wilson and Wellenkamp are calling for adaptive reuse, renovating the existing structure for tenants. They acknowledge this might result in fewer units than a new build, but insist that preserving the city's mixed-built environment is vital for tourism and long-term economic success. Michael Calhoun, KMOX News.
The news sponsored by Michael's Flooring Outlet, the flooring experts, michaelsflooringoutlet.com. Money Minute is next.
Amy,
Yes.
I have a real beef with bathroom doors in hotels. The stupid sliding door. No, give me a fully shut door, because the sliding door, you know what happens? There's always a gap. And so if you have a partner with you in the hotel room, there are sounds and smells and steam.
It puts a new meaning to the word butt crack.
The Chris and Amy Show, weekdays starting at 9 on 104.1 FM, KMOX.
Attention all dog owners. If you have ever listened to the radio or TV for any length of time, you've probably heard of America's #1 dog supplement, Rough Greens. Greetings, naturopathic Dr. Dennis Black, Amazon best-selling author and founder of Rough Greens here. And if your dog suffers from bad breath, itchy skin, licking paws, joint pain, or low energy, the truth is their food is probably to blame. You see, all commercial dog food is dead food. That's why I created Rough Greens. One daily scoop gives your pup the live vitamins, omega oils, probiotics, and enzymes that will bring their food back to life. Don't believe me? Let your dog try it before you buy it. I'll send you a free Jumpstart trial bag, risk-free. You just cover the shipping. Go to roughgreens.com. That's RUFFgreens.com. Use discount code NEWS. Don't wait. Give your dog the gift of vibrant health. Order now. It'll be at your house in a few days. Go to roughgreens.com. That's RUFFgreens.com. Discount code NEWS for your free Jumpstart trial bag today. Rough Green. We make any dog food better.
It is 7:36, and this is Total Information AM. I'm Debbie Monterrey, along with Tom Ackerman. Time for your Money Minute from Bloomberg, and it's sponsored this hour by Busey Bank.
This is a Bloomberg Money Minute. A big banking deal in the Northeast. Santander is buying Webster Financial in a $12 billion acquisition. This marks a major push from Spain's largest bank to expand its operations in the U.S. beyond auto lending. Webster's footprint is in New York City, Massachusetts, and Connecticut, where it's based. The bank has almost 200 branches. Getting you ready for your trading day. Stock futures are starting to move higher after yesterday's tumble for tech shares. The artificial intelligence narrative has been flipped upside down, with traders focused on the perceived losers due to the rise in the technology. And Sonos plans to release several products this year. The devices are expected to come out sometime in the summer. The audio company is trying to move past a period of turmoil. 2 years ago, the company torpedoed its standing with customers when it released an overhauled app with a number of bugs, leading to a decline in revenue. This report is sponsored by Fidelity. Courtney Donahoe, Bloomberg Radio.
This is the Let's Revitalize Our Neighborhoods commitment. This is the Roll Up Our Sleeves and Pitch In commitment. This is Busey, where our commitment to strengthen our communities is a top priority. Through energetic, engaged volunteers, through monetary support, community leadership, and advocacy. Because Busey is more than a bank that does well, we're a bank that does good. Busey Bank, building business, growing wealth, since 1868. Member FDIC.
To homeowners, first in line for the plumber, first in line for the HVAC guy, first at Banner Construction. It's Banner Construction's winter home event, and you can be the first in line this spring and save before the annual price increases. Banner Construction is a James Hardy and Pella replacement windows specialist, and now is the best time to schedule a free in-home consultation with no obligation. Call 314-569-1050 or check them out on the web at bannerconstruction.com and have a banner day.
Why do the national tax resolution firms need the tiny fine print at the bottom of all their TV ads? Hi, this is Lance Story with the Lance Story Law Firm. You don't hear fast-talking disclaimers in our ads because the claims we make are 100% transparent. The Lance Story Law Firm primarily focuses on one thing, IRS problems, and we're regulated by the Bar Association, and we have a AAA rating with the Better Business Bureau. IRS issues are serious legal issues. The Lance Story Law Firm has helped thousands of clients navigate the best resolution plans, and we tell you up front exactly how much it'll cost. Tax resolution law is all we do. So before you send money to some out-of-town, high-pressure salesperson, give us a call at the Lance Story Law Firm, located right here in St. Louis. Call today to schedule your free consultation with me, 314-260-6120, or visit Lance, D-R-U-R-Y Law.com.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
Straight Realty has always been an industry leader when it comes to commissions, so it should come as no surprise that the recent Realtor settlement has only empowered us to continue offering our sellers even better rates. We now list homes for only 2%. Hi, I'm Christina Straight, owner of Straight Realty. Call me, 314-441-4444. Why pay more than 2? You can also listen to my podcast on my website, straightrealty.com.
Commissions are not regulated and are negotiable. Straight Realty is a licensed broker in the state of Missouri.
Soulard is going to the dogs. Make sure to bring your four-legged friend to the streets of Soulard for the 33rd annual Purina Pet Parade, the world's largest costume pet parade. It all starts at 12th and Allen, Sunday, February 8th at 1 p.m. And KMOX's own Dave Glover will be leading the pack as the parade's Grand Marshal. Sign up today to march in the parade with your dog. The event supports Open Door Animal Sanctuary. For more details, PurinaPetParade.com. Don't miss this annual St. Louis Mardi Gras tradition, sponsored by Purina.
I'm Michael Calhoun. This is KMOX, the voice of St. Louis.
It's 7:40. Roger Brand, what's the latest from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center?
No busy highways as it were at the peak of the rush hour now, Tom. Eastbound Highway 70, you've got bogged down traffic approaching Wentzville Parkway up to 64. Again, Lake St. Louis through Bryan Road, K to TR Hughes, 94 to 5th Street, Earth City into 270. Just slow stretches periodically. Southbound 61, about midway between P and Wentzville Parkway onto 64 to about Lake St. Louis Boulevard is slow from Boone's Crossing to almost Timberlake, east of Lindbergh through the Innerbelt. The Innerbelt's bogged down southbound at Olive. Westbound 64 backs up Science Center, headed out through McCausland, slow to Big Bend. South 270 from 364 down to Ladou's, slow. North 270 is your ramp on from 55 all the way up to Ladou's, busy. 44 eastbound a little slow east of Bowles toward Miraz. Northbound 55, the right lane's bogged down at Butler Hill. All lanes from the Union Road overpass up to River to Pear jammed. On the Illinois side, still this brief backup westbound 5570 west of Black Lane, midway into 111, and then 3rd Street to the Poplar on 64. Northbound Route 3 jams Queenie up to the bridge because of an earlier train crossing. And westbound 70 Muswell Veterans Bridge headed out to Branch is a little slow as well. Next update is 7:50 from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
It is 7:41, and we're checking in right now with our AccuWeather meteorologist, Joe Lundberg. It looks like a beautiful, crisp morning out the windows here of Studio B.
It is indeed. We've got sunshine right now, and it is indeed crisp. Some places have slipped into the upper teens this morning, and that place will probably end up again tonight. In between, we'll see sunshine and some clouds. Our high gets to about freezing, so this is probably the coldest day going forward for the foreseeable future. And tonight, partly cloudy, cold with lows in the upper teens. We'll see more clouds and sun tomorrow, but it should get to 40 and even warmer with more sunshine Friday up to 47. A front comes through later Friday and Friday night, so that Saturday will be chillier, but with a decent amount of sunshine to start the weekend, the high 40. For Sunday, here's the call of the mild. Clouds and some sunshine. We warmed to 55, and I think get used to that. We could be in the 50s on a frequent basis much of next week. So right now, it's 21 at St. Peter's, 19 in Florissant, mostly sunny, 24 downtown at the Arch. From the Saliga Heating and Cooling Weather Desk, I'm AccuWeather meteorologist Joe Lundberg on 104.1 FM KMOX.
It's 7:42. Former Carlisle, Illinois Police Chief Mark Pinksterhouse reportedly admitted to wrongdoing just days before resigning late last year. City records obtained by Capital News Illinois show Mayor Judy Smith gave Pinkster House an ultimatum in November to resign or be fired shortly after the FBI raided his office.
A federal search warrant reveals agents are investigating the former chief for wire fraud and theft, specifically looking for evidence of misused funds and a personal relationship with another public official. Pinkster House did step down on December 1st. He has not been charged with a crime.
President Donald Trump is doubling down on his calls to nationalize elections, specifically citing districts he lost in 2020. He says he wants the federal government to take charge, even though that could violate the Constitution. CBS News Chief White House Correspondent Nancy Cordes.
Trump's accusations of widespread voter fraud in places he lost in 2020 have repeatedly been debunked, including in Atlanta, where new body cam video obtained by the Atlanta Journal-Constitution shows FBI agents searching a Fulton County election center last week. Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard said Trump personally thanked the agents in a phone call she facilitated after the search.
One of the biggest fears for actors and writers in the proposed Netflix-Warner merger is the death of residuals, the long-term payments that creators rely on. At a Senate hearing, Senator Josh Hawley tried to pin down Netflix co-CEO Ted Sarandos on whether the new mega company would fairly compensate workers, leading to one of the most contentious moments of that hearing.
I would like to tell you this is a very complicated answer because we prepay.
That's usually on the way to no. That's usually a way of saying no. So I'm looking for yes.
I understand this is not a yes or no answer.
It kind of is, though.
It kind of isn't because and we were going to sit down with the unions.
You're disappointing me.
Starting in the next few days, sir, we're sitting down with the unions for new contract talks that start actually in 3 days.
That's a complicated, long no. I would really hope it would be yes.
Okay. Are you asking me to commit to residuals in the traditional form? Because I don't think that applies in many cases.
If the Department of Justice allows the deal to proceed, the combined company would control roughly 30% of the U.S. streaming market, giving it unprecedented leverage over creative wages.
SLU faced with another double-digit deficit last night, this time on the road, taking on Davidson. The Billikens rolled in there with a record of 21-1, but remember, they had a big week. They beat George Washington, coming all the way back from 15 down. They flattened Dayton by 31 points and had a huge party on Friday night at Chaffetz. They also dealt with illness. There were a lot of things working against them, and they fell behind 13 in the first half last night. That's the first time on the road that they fell behind by double digits. Well, they had a plan for that. They knocked down a couple of threes to cut it to 5 at the break. Josh Schertz went to work on a defensive strategy to get them back on track. And Brady Dunlap, who's been dealing with illness for the last 10 days, went off.
Taking his time, uses the screen, kicks to the corner, Dunlap three, bang! Brady Dunlap with too much talent.
Robbie orchestrating the possession with the penetrate.
That cut the Davidson lead to 57-56, and then
once the screen uses it, it's stolen away. Trey Green with a reach, Robbie with the recover. Dion brings it back. Wants to drive in traffic, gets it to Dunlap, wants another one. Bang! I'm telling you, it is too much talent for Brady Dunlap. Timeout Davidson! Timeout Davidson!
Billikens go up by 2, 59-57, and then
back out to Dunlap, into the corner, Otieno, hand off to Brady, quick pop three. Bang! Too much talent, Brady Dunlap!
I mean, you got Sharma, Trey, and Brady all out there together.
Who are you going to guard?
They go on a 16-0 run, and they win this game 91-82 over Davidson. The Billikens are 22-1, 10-0 in conference. They've won 16 in a row. They're ranked 19th in the country. They're coached with Bob Ramsey and Earl Austin Jr. Josh Schertz.
What a battle it was tonight, and you guys overcame a ton of adversity. Congratulations.
Yeah, that was a hard one. I knew it would be for a variety of reasons. Obviously, coming off a huge week, and at home, and shorter turnaround here with the Tuesday game, and hard place to play, playing a good team. You've won 15 in a row. There's a lot of things that could lead you to fall short. I thought we showed unbelievable competitive character, resilience.
They did, and they get the win, and their next game will be Saturday afternoon at 2, 1:45 pregame at home on KMOX against LaSalle. We're also the home of the St. Louis Cardinals. And yesterday we had a visit with President of Baseball Operations Chaim Bloom on the Gas House Gang. I asked him about what's next. Can we boil it down to a right-handed bat who plays in the outfield, or can that person also be versatile enough to play infield?
I think there's room for some versatility. Outfield is the cleanest fit. You just look at our roster and that stands out. Although obviously, certainly with the loss of Brandon, we do have more opportunity that really could come anywhere. But obviously, more recently, he's been more of a factor in the infield. So it really could come from anywhere. You want to make sure that it is the right fit. There's different things. I actually got asked about this at the press conference, and there's different things in terms of trades, in terms of free agency that we've pursued, just haven't found that right match to this point.
Spring training begins next week in Jupiter, Florida. Back to basketball. Southern Illinois beat Illinois State on the road 54-50 last night. SIUE knocked off Lindenwood on the road 78-72. Blues are on the road tonight. They visit Dallas at 8:30. I'm Tom Ackerman on the voice of the Cardinals and Billikens, 104.1 FM, KMOX.
My brother-in-law died suddenly, and now my sister and her kids have to sell their home. That's why I told my husband we could not put off getting life insurance any longer. An agent offered us a 10-year, $500,000 policy for nearly $40 a month. Then we called SelectQuote. SelectQuote found us identical coverage for only $18 a month, a savings of nearly $300 a year.
Whether you need a $100,000 policy or a $10 million policy, SelectQuote could save you more than 50% on term life insurance. In a hurry? Don't worry. With SelectQuote, you can get up to $2 million in instant, affordable same-day coverage with no medical exam.
Call SelectQuote at 1-800-637-9116. That's 1-800-637-9116. Or go to SelectQuote.com. That's 1-800-637-9116. Full details on example policies at SelectQuote.com/commercials.
Turning 50 doesn't mean slowing down. It means getting smarter about your health. That's why we created Neovitin Men's 50 Plus Multivitamin. It's doctor formulated to support your energy, immune health, and overall vitality. Plus, it's made in the U.S. using the finest domestic and international ingredients. Take control of your health with supplements you can trust. Look for Neovitin Men's 50 Plus at your local Schnucks, Dierbergs, or online at neovitin.com. Neovitin, made for men who keep moving forward.
When it comes to planning your retirement, there's a lot to think about. Portfolio management, tax planning, and retirement income just to get started. Steve All and his team at the All Financial Group focus on those things and more. Their goal is to help you achieve your goals. Call 636-230-8824 or online, yourmoneymattersstl.com.
Investment advisory products and services made available through Impact Partnership Wealth, LLC, IPW, a registered investment advisor. Insurance and annuities offered through Steve All, NPN number 153-07419.
Total Information AM on 104.1 FM, KMOX.
7:50, bright sunshine out there, so grab your sunglasses if you're just heading out. Roger Brand has an update on the roadways from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Well, there's still a little bit of a slowdown, Debbie, eastbound 70 approaching Wentzville Parkway, and then it's just bogged down east of A through to Bryan Road, and then approaching 94 into 270, kind of busy all the way through. If you're on eastbound 64, coming off 61 up to about Lake St. Louis Boulevard, it's slow. East of Boone's Crossing to Timberlake, Spady, all the way through the Intervale. South 170 bogs down at Olive. Westbound 64 is backed up from Kings Highway to Clayton Skinker, slow to Big Bend. Southbound 270 approaching 364 to Ladue is busy. Still heavy the whole way up on North 270 from 55 to Ladue. Northbound 55, the main delays are from the Union Road overpass up across River to Pear. Eastbound 44 downtown past the Poplar up to the Mutual Veterans Bridge, a couple of slow spots. And on the Old West side, still have this roadwork delay on 5570 westbound west of Black Lane. It opens up before you get to 111. Then 64 is congested from 3rd Street to the Poplar. And northbound Route 3 still jam Monsanto up to the bridge. Next update is 7:58 from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
The weather, it's going to be cold today, but AccuWeather meteorologist Joe Lundberg says after today's high of 32 and a low of 18 overnight, tomorrow we get up to 40, Friday 47, back to 40 on Saturday, but sun and 55 on Sunday, and maybe even warmer at the start of next week. Right now we have sun and 22 2 degrees downtown at the Arch.
It is 7:52. Authorities are looking into a possible ransom note for Today Show host Savannah Guthrie's mother, Nancy. It was originally sent to a local news station. They're also revealing evidence at the scene. We get more from CBS News correspondent Jonathan Vigliotti.
Fingerprints, DNA, camera images, everything you can imagine.
Investigators say they're using every tool to find Nancy Guthrie, the mother of Today Show co-host Savannah Guthrie. Pima County Sheriff Chris Nanos says the FBI is now analyzing an apparent ransom note.
Is there anything in that note that seems credible at this moment that you're giving weight to?
The entire note.
So you're not dismissing this note at this point?
Absolutely not.
He says he shared the note with the Guthrie family the same night he received it.
Of the thousands of tips that you get, you don't show everything.
Well, no,
to them.
because some of them just don't have any.
This rose to a level.
Sure does. It's more threatening. You guys asked, was there any threats? This was pretty threatening.
According to Nanos, the note contained details about what the 84-year-old was wearing the night of the crime, but would not confirm its authenticity. It was initially sent to a local news station, who forwarded it to authorities and agreed not to report on it. But yesterday, TMZ was also sent a copy.
TMZ comes out with this note that you have known about, that the Guthries have now seen, and it sounds like it could compromise this case to some degree.
It could. I hope not.
Tensions grow between the U.S. and Iran before talks later this week. CBS News senior national security correspondent Charlie D'Agata says the Navy had to react to a provocative act from Iran.
U.S. military officials say an American F-35 fighter jet shot down a hostile Iranian Shahed drone in the Arabian Sea after it flew towards a U.S. aircraft carrier operating in the region. A dramatic escalation amid soaring tensions between the two countries.
Global concerns are being raised as a key treaty is set to expire.
Pope Leo has warned of a new arms race. Speaking at the Vatican, the Pope issued the warning as the last nuclear treaty between the U.S. and Russia is set to expire tomorrow. The Kremlin's offered a one-year extension of it. Last year, President Trump indicated that sounded like a good idea, but there's been no apparent movement. Moscow said today Vladimir Putin promised Russia intends to act responsibly as the treaty expires. He had a phone call with China's President Xi. Steve Kathan, CBS News.
The Pentagon is threatening to end its partnership with Scouting America.
The Pentagon says the group formerly known as the Boy Scouts needs to make core value reforms. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth is upset the Scouts started allowing girls to join 2 years ago.
See, this is an institution the left didn't control. They didn't want to improve it. They wanted to destroy it or dilute it into something that stood for nothing.
Without the military support, the Scouts could lose some meeting spaces and lose the hundreds of troops who are expected to provide security and logistical support at the Scouts National Jamboree this year. Michael Wallace, CBS News.
It is 7:55. This is Total Information AM.
The Humane Society of Missouri's 5th Annual Day of Giving is coming up. On February 10th, you'll hear powerful rescue stories of animals fighting to survive and the life-saving work of the Animal Cruelty Task Force. These stories will be shared throughout the day on local TV stations and anytime at hsmo.org/dog. They remind us why your support truly matters. Donations are welcome anytime at hsmo.org/dog. That's hsmo.org/dog.
It is Zero Res's Month of Love sale. Not only is your carpet one of the biggest investments in your home, but it's also the biggest air filter in your home. If the carpet hasn't been professionally cleaned, you're breathing unhealthy levels of nasty dirt, dander, bacteria, and germs that keep recirculating again and again. Lucky for you, Zero Res is going to spread the love to you and your home. Get 3 rooms of carpet cleaned starting at just $119. Take $75 off your air duct cleaning. Book online at ZeroResSTL.com and say you want the KMOX special.
At Uline, they know firsthand the road to success is an uphill climb. Uline started in the family basement and through hard work is now North America's most trusted shipping and industrial supplier. They get what it means to have the support of reliable, hardworking partners. So they keep 41,000 items ready to ship. Whether your company is still in a basement office or expanding cross-country, Uline will be there on your road to success. Visit uline.com.
You've got a big day.
So you use Unstoppable scent boosters to give your laundry nonstop freshness. So no matter how long the day goes, you
can't stop this power, this walk, this pose, this strut, this look, this talk.
Your clothes will be so fresh you can confidently strut into that end of the day meeting like a
boss, 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 bosses. Let's talk business in my office.
Add new Unstoppable beads to your wash for 24-hour nonstop freshness so you can smell unstoppable.
Join Mark Patrick Hypnosis. Lose the weight or stop smoking. Guaranteed only $59.99. Saturday, March 7th at the Residence Inn by Marriott, St. Louis Westport in St. Louis. Weight loss hypnosis starts at 11 a.m. Registration at 10:30 a.m. Stop smoking starts at 2 p.m. Registration 1:30 p.m.
Glover here for my friends at Cantor Injury Law. Cantor is local, and we're here doing the work every day. We're right here in St. Louis, and we're ready to fight for you. CantorInjuryLaw.com or call 314-628-9999.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be solely based on advertisements.
7:58, a lot going on out there. Roger Brand, Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Yeah, you're right, Tom. In fact, we have a crash right now on eastbound 70 just before you get to 270. So I believe it's blocking the left lanes. Yeah, it's sort of east of our city, but left lanes are blocked. So eastbound 70, you've got delays coming through the area. So just be prepared. You're backed up back through 94. And out west, it's still a little slow. Lake St. Louis in through TR Hughes in a couple of spots. Eastbound 64 coming off 70 to Lake St. Louis Boulevard, slow. Boone's Crossing to Clarkson, approaching Spady and the Interbelt. The Interbelt slow about the Woodson overpass now south of Pagetown to 64. Westbound 64 Science Center out to Hanley's heavy. North 270 north of 55 all the way to Ladue slow. Northbound 55 still backed up. Union Road overpass up to River to Pear. Next update at 8:10 from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
It is 7:59, and coming up on this next hour of Total Information AM, the Hot Mess Express helps women who feel overwhelmed take back their living spaces.
Oh, I like the name. CBS's Natalie Brand will join us to discuss President Trump's thoughts on nationalizing elections.
And speaking of elections, KMOX legal analyst Brad Young has some thoughts on the Missouri Secretary of State's difficulty in writing referendum ballot questions.
Debbie will have an in-studio visit from the folks behind the nonprofit Bridge Bread Bakery.
This is AccuWeather meteorologist Joe Lundberg. A cold day today with intervals of clouds and sunshine and a high of 32.
I'll be back on the Gas House Gang with Chris Ranji at noon. It's 8.
The trusted voice of St. Louis. KMOX AM St. Louis. KMOX FM Hazelwood. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
This is CBS News on the Hour, sponsored by Pfizer.
I'm Deborah Rodriguez. The Today Show's Savannah Guthrie and her family are still waiting in anguish for a breakthrough in their 84-year-old mother's abduction in Arizona last weekend. Law enforcement officials are hoping the ransom note we found out about yesterday will lead them to Nancy Guthrie. CBS's Jonathan Vigliotti asked Pima County Sheriff Chris Nanos.
Is there anything in that note that seems credible at this moment that you were giving weight to?
The entire note.
So you're not dismissing this note at this point?
Absolutely not.
Former FBI Special Agent Doug Coons has his doubts.
Anybody can send in a ransom note and say, yeah, it was us, and we want these millions of dollars in crypto, and you just can't assume that that is accurate.
This is sentencing day for Ryan Ruth, the man convicted of an assassination attempt on then presidential candidate Donald Trump on a golf course in Florida in 2024. Legal contributor Jessica Levinson.
The court will hear arguments regarding the appropriate sentencing range and will consider the nature and circumstances of the offense, the need for deterrence, protection of the public, respect for the law.
Federal prosecutors are asking for life in prison. Democrats say they're alarmed as President Trump doubles down on calls to nationalize elections. He specifically cited districts he lost in 2020. Correspondent Nancy Cordes is at the White House.
If a state can't run an election, I think the people behind me should do something about it.
Trump then listed a number of Democrat-led cities like Detroit and Atlanta, where he thinks the federal government should step in.
Look at some of the places that horrible corruption on elections, and the federal government should not allow that. The federal government should get involved.
The Pentagon is threatening to end its partnership with Scouting America.
The Pentagon says the group formerly known as the Boy Scouts needs to make core value reforms. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth is upset the Scouts started allowing girls to join 2 years ago.
See, this is an institution the left didn't control. They didn't want to improve it. They wanted to destroy it or dilute it into something that stood for nothing.
Without the military support, the Scouts could lose some meeting spaces and lose the hundreds of troops who are expected to provide security and logistical support at the Scouts National Jamboree this year. Michael Wallace, CBS News.
Bill Gates speaking out after his name appeared in the last batch of documents released from the Jeffrey Epstein files. The Microsoft founder tells Australia's 9 News he did not take part in Epstein's abuse of teenage girls.
The more that comes out, the more clear it'll be that although the time was a mistake, it had nothing to do with that kind of behavior.
Dow futures are up 132. This is CBS News.
You still got it, but your immune system weakens as you age, making it harder to fight flu, pneumococcal pneumonia, RSV, and COVID-19. Ask your doctor or pharmacist which vaccines you need. Sponsored.
It is 8:03, and right now we've got sunshine in downtown St. Louis, 22 degrees. I'm Debbie Monterrey. St. Louis officials are celebrating the city being named one of 7 sites for the 2028 Olympic Games soccer tournament.
To the Sports Commission and to St. Louis.
St. Louis Sports Commission's Mark Schreiber says we should never forget St. Louis was America's first Olympic city.
We are in exclusive company. We always have a seat at the table with the world's greatest cities. And now to be able to build on that legacy.
Schreiber says this is not the only opportunity St. Louis has to connect with LA 28.
We're working to make sure that St. Louis is part of the Olympic torch relay that year. And we're bidding right now on the 2028 U.S. Olympic Marathon Trials.
Maria Kina, KMOX News.
Maria will have more on this story coming up at 8:22. A massive tech proposal in Midtown St. Louis could soon face new city hurdles.
The $3.1 billion complex could become the test case for how St. Louis handles the AI boom. Developers want to turn the old famous bar warehouse on Market Street into a nearly 500,000 square foot data center next to the Armory. The project comes just as city planners acknowledge they can't compete with the suburbs for massive sprawling server campuses because of a lack of space. Consequently, the city's new draft rules are tailored more toward edge data centers. Those are the facilities that sit closer to the users that they serve. While it's still not clear if the new zoning laws impact the famous bar project, the city says these urban-focused centers are essential for expanding high-speed networks without destroying the neighborhood feel. Michael Calhoun, KMOX News.
We're still awaiting word from the circuit attorney's office on a suspect name, but St. Louis City Police say a man has been charged with murder for the crime that led up to an officer-involved shooting Monday night in the Skinker de Bolivar neighborhood. Officers say the 68-year-old man lived at the home on Waterman with 67-year-old Mary Jackson, whom police witnessed being shot. He is reportedly charged with first-degree murder, assault on a law enforcement officer, armed criminal action, and unlawful possession of a gun. Several members of the Missouri House Budget Committee took shots Monday at the State Department of Transportation during a hearing to review the next state budget request. Shell Knob Rep. Scott Cupps said he's heard several complaints from citizens in Southwest Missouri.
When no one likes you, then you sometimes have to ask yourself, hey, is it me? And in this instance, I do believe it's you all.
MoDOT Director Ed Hassinger asked for examples so he could resolve the problems.
I went to the fundamental piece, right? MoDOT has a mission statement. I put customer service in it. You got to start at the top, right? And the way that I'm approaching things, I've made that an expectation of the folks that work for me.
MoDOT is asking the legislature for an additional 100 workers to help with things like mowing, signage, and picking up litter. Missouri students could be able to transfer public schools more easily if legislation loosening rules about open enrollment is approved. Critics worry that proposal could weaken school districts.
Parents would be able to send their kids to schools elsewhere in their current district, or in some cases, elsewhere in the county or a neighboring county. But the rules also give schools a way to opt out if they're at capacity. The changes could be a boon for charter schools, but could take students and money away from some urban schools. Tammy Henderson lobbies on behalf of North Kansas City Schools. She says transferring students like that in her district would be difficult.
22,000 kids we move around on a daily basis, and trying to provide transportation to another school district somewhere else could be a big challenge.
Supporters say the bill would give students who struggle in their current districts a better education. A similar bill was proposed last year, but never made it to the floor. I'm Alex Gribb,
Longtime St. Louis broadcaster Bob Ramsey is being inducted into the St. Louis Sports Hall of Fame tonight. Beyond the catchphrases and wins, Ramsey says his career has been defined by a specific code of conduct. He believes that achieving big league status has less to do with the microphone and more to do with the intangible habits of a professional.
Who's going to teach the guys how to act right, to act like a professional, to act like a big leaguer, not just verbally, but in the way you carry yourself, the way you're prepared for every game.
Ramsey is part of the 2026 induction class being celebrated tonight for their lasting impact on the St. Louis sports community. From the KMOX business desk, a new chair of the East-West Gateway Council of Governments. The council's board voted recently to appoint Madison County Board Chair Chris Slusser to the top spot. He says his selection reflects Madison County's expanding leadership in shaping the Metro St. Louis region's economy, infrastructure, and security priorities. Well, being a busy mom can really upend your life. If you feel like you're a hot mess, you'll want to hear our next interview coming up after we check traffic and weather here on Total Information AM.
It seems like this weather is going to continue. The cold weather is going to continue here in St. Louis and Illinois for the foreseeable future to finish out the winter. Now, if you have been unlucky or you don't want to wait till you're unlucky and you need your furnace fixed or even replaced, call me. We can get your furnace next day. Sometimes we, depending on the manufacturer, it's not us, but just depending on the manufacturer, if they have the parts available and here in St. Louis or Illinois, we can get you that day. But either way, if you're having problems with the furnace or you want to prevent problems with the furnace, call me, Bart Inman. One easy number, the easiest number in Missouri and Illinois, just one number. That number is 314-293-2600. Again, 314-293-2600, or on the internet, it's Bart Inman. That is Bart with a B, Inman with an I.com. God bless.
There's a lot on the line in divorce. This is Joe Cordell of Cordell & Cordell, the largest family law firm in the country, with over 35 years of helping clients navigate divorce. Divorce touches all areas of your life: your home, savings, retirement, and of course, kids. So when you find yourself facing divorce, you need a partner you can count on.
If you are facing divorce, contact Cordell & Cordell today at 1-855-GET-LEGAL. The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements. 600 Kelwood, St. Louis.
Looking for your dream home in Wentzville? Welcome to Sutton Farms by Lombardo Homes, where community and comfort come together. Enjoy resort-style living with a private clubhouse, indoor courts, a splash pad, sand volleyball, walking trails, and even a dog park. Design your own custom home in our Parkside, Nature, or Tradition series, all within the top-rated Wentzville School District. Discover the perfect blend of small-town charm and modern convenience at Sutton Farms, located off Piney Road in Wentzville. Visit LombardoHomes.com to learn more.
This hour of Total Information AM is sponsored by Gamma Tree Experts. Total Information AM. Debbie Monterrey, Megan Lynch, Tom Ackerman on 104.1 FM KMOX.
Check the roadways. Let's get the latest right now from Roger Brand, who's in the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Well, we've still got our trouble spot, Debbie, on eastbound Highway 70. It looks like maybe just the left lane's blocked now. I'm sort of looking at it from a distance, but there's still lane restrictions there. Left lane, eastbound 70, just east of our city. So it's a solid jam back to about Highway 94 on eastbound 70 right now. And westbound 70 is a little slow. In fact, south 270, those ramp lanes getting onto westbound 70 are backed up at the Rock Road currently. Eastbound 64, from the 70 split up to about Lake St. Louis Boulevard, still slow. Approaching Annie Guns to Clarkson, a little busy. And then from Spady in through to about Big Bend is crowded. South 170, a couple of slow spots. South of Olive to 64, westbound 64. Hampton to Hanley's kind of heavy. Northbound 270 is bogged down from the Sappington Road overpass all the way up to Ladue. 44, Elm up through Laclede Station's kind of busy. Northbound 55, you got the slow stuff from Bayless up through River to Pear, and at 44 downtown. Park out onto westbound 70 to about at least Madison. Westbound 5570, still those delays. West of Black Lane, midway into 111 and 64 slow from the 70 split to the Poplar. Next update at 8:20 from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
A cold day today with intervals of clouds and sun and a high of 32. Partly cloudy tonight. It'll be quite cold, low 18. More clouds and sun tomorrow with a high around 40. Friday, plenty of sunshine and becoming breezy in the afternoon, high 47. From the Saliga Heating and Cooling Weather Desk, I'm AccuWeather meteorologist Joe Lundberg on 104.1 FM KMOX.
We've got tons of sunshine in downtown St. Louis. It is 22 degrees. It's now 8:12. This is Total Information AM. I'm Debbie Monterrey, and being a mom is hard, being in charge of everything and everyone. It's easy to feel like a hot mess. So enter the Hot Mess Express. Joining me now is Rebecca Hopkins from the O'Fallon, Illinois chapter of Hot Mess Express. Welcome.
Hi, good morning. Thank you.
All right, first of all, what is Hot Mess Express?
We are Hot Mess Express. So we are a women-led organization that helps other women with cleaning, organizing, and basically a reset.
And this is a volunteer operation?
Yes, we are all volunteer.
So how did this get started? And I'm assuming because there's an O'Fallon, Illinois chapter that this is a national movement, but what's the thought behind it?
Okay, so the first mission was in North Carolina. There's an influencer, her name's Jen Hamilton. She's a NICU nurse, and she had this idea to get a group of women together to help another woman who just, things happen, whether it's you had a baby or your husband was deployed or there's all different scenarios where you might lose control of your house and feel too embarrassed to ask for help. So it's non-judgmental. We say it's not a handout, just a hand.
I feel like when you have your first child or maybe even your second, when the kids have all those toys and the clothes, I feel like that's when a lot of moms' homes kind of go off track.
Yes, 100%. I can say from personal experience, I had a daycare in our home for 10 years, and we would have to keep it neat and tidy Monday through Friday. And then we would live in it Saturday, Sunday. And every Sunday night, I would get the Sunday scaries. And there were days I had a friend who would come over and she would help me reset the house and snap things back together. And it meant so much.
Are we talking about just people who need some cleaning or organizing, or are we talking hoarder type situations?
So hoarding is actually something that we cannot handle. We leave that to the experts. We can't handle like animal infestations, feces, anything like that. It's more so like the kind of families we've helped. Our first mission was a woman who had broken her leg, and she was a mom and she didn't have any mobility, and she had just lost control of the house, and it had gotten to the point where it was difficult for her to get around with her cast. And so we went in and reset that house. We had another mission where the dad had ALS, and a combination of all of the medical supplies that they were having to deal with and his bed and machines, they had just lost control and they didn't know how to organize it. And so we went in and we reset that house. We had a woman with breast cancer that needed some help. Her family was doing the best that they could to help out. But sometimes you just need a little bit more help. And she wanted to be able to host Christmas at her house. So we made it possible.
It sounds like it must be pretty rewarding to help get somebody's life back on track.
Yes. I always say that I feel like the volunteers are impacted just as much as the nominee.
How do you find people to help?
Social media. Pretty much everything is driven for our affiliate or our chapter. It's driven through our Facebook page. It's a private Facebook page, and it's only for women. You can also go to our national website. It's hotmessexpress.co, and there's a link on there where you can go in and nominate someone.
I understand that there is a St. Louis chapter on the way.
Yes. Actually, we're so excited. We just helped the St. Louis chapter complete their first mission this past Saturday, and just a heartwarming day. It was single mom. She's a preschool teacher, 2 kids, and she wanted to have a better living space for her kids. And we got to see the little girl run in the house and squeal and jump on her bed. It was, like I said, it's just as touching to the volunteers as it is the person receiving the help.
As a volunteer, do you need any kind of special training?
No.
Like organizational training or anything?
No, we're literally just women that want to help other women and get out of the house and have friendships with other women, it goes a lot deeper than just resetting somebody's house. You spend 4 hours getting to know someone new. You finish the day with a new friend. It's just a really positive experience.
When did you first hear? Were you part of founding the O'Fallon, Illinois chapter, or how
Yes.
did it come about? How did you hear about it?
Well, I was laying in bed one night. I couldn't sleep, and I was on TikTok, and a viral video from Jen Hamilton popped up, and it was actually a mission they had done for a woman with Alzheimer's. And my kids are getting older. They're 17, 19, and 23. I always knew that when they grew up, I wanted to give more of my time to a nonprofit. I didn't know what that looked like. But as I was laying in bed that night, I saw the video. And as soon as I saw it, I said, that's it. I'm doing this.
There has been a lot of research that does show that when your house is a mess, when it's not organized, that it brings on stress and even depression, and it just starts to pile on. I think people will look at it from afar and blame that person like, oh, that person, they can't handle their house, but it sort of just builds on itself, doesn't it?
It does. And it can happen to anyone. It doesn't happen in poverty. It does, any economic level, it happens.
Do you ever have folks that you have clean their house who end up becoming volunteers?
Yes. Yeah.
How
for
many
sure.
members of Hot Mess Express are there?
Our O'Fallon affiliate, we've got, I think, about 1,300 on our Facebook page. How many show up to a mission? It looks different each time. We've had 6 people up to 15 people. There's so many different ways that you can help. It's not just showing up the day of the mission. It's interacting with our social media post, telling your friends and family about it. For the O'Fallon affiliate, we post like an Amazon wish list. So in Illinois, I have not been approved to fundraise, so I cannot accept cash donations. I have had some really amazing people support our organization. The St. Louis affiliate has been approved for cash donations. So I'm super excited for them. And yeah, I mean, I'll say we haven't wanted for anything. People have been so supportive.
Okay, so if people want to know more, if you go to Facebook and just type in the search Hot Mess Express, you should be able to find the O'Fallon, Illinois group. It's a private group, so you need
Yes.
to ask to join. Will they be able to find the St. Louis group that same way?
Yes.
And the St. Louis group is now underway and able to accept cash donations.
Yes.
All right. Well, don't be a hot mess unless you're part of the Hot Mess Express. It's really a great idea. We had not heard of it before, and we were like, we have to learn more about this. So thank you for joining us and telling us more about it.
Thanks for having us. It's great.
That is Rebecca Hopkins, a Hot Mess Express. Stay with us. It is 8:20, and when we come back, we'll get more from Maria Kina about how St. Louis, after 120 some years, will finally see some Olympic competition here in 2028. In the meantime, let's check in with Roger Brand. He is in the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Well, Debbie, we still got this crash in the left lane, eastbound 70, just east of Earth City, 141. Traffic's backed up from 94 up through 5th Street, sort of pockets into that area right now. Northbound 270, north of Gravois up to Ladue, still slow. If you're on eastbound 64, it's kind of slow. Clarkson, midway into Timberlake, Mason into 270, and then Spady all the way into Big Bend. South 170 is doing better, just the Parkway to 64 now. Westbound 64, Hampton to Hanley's heavy. Eastbound 44 is thinned out pretty much through the Elmo, the Cleat Station area. North 55 still backed up. Bales up to River to Perrin, a little slow at Virginia. 44 Park out onto 70 to about Branch is slow. Westbound 5570 still that roadwork back up east of 111, and then slow on 64 from the 70 split most of the way to the Poplar. Looks like we have a crash near Tudor there, and also have a crash northbound 141 at Carmen, and northbound 141 is backed up down past Big Bend, almost back to Helfrich right now if you're headed that way. Next update at 8:30 from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
It is 21 degrees with sunshine from the Saliga Heating and Cooling Weather Desk.
Hey, it's Tom Ackerman. It's an absolute pleasure always to talk about McKelvey Homes and Jim Brennan, my great friend, the president of McKelvey Homes. They've been going since 1898, 128 years of excellence, Missouri's oldest home builder and the best. They always find the best home sites, and they have done it again with the Reserve at Wildwood, a premier development located on 50 acres at the southwest corner of State Route 109 and 100 in the heart of Wildwood. This community will offer a stunning collection of homes from McKelvey, designer series, Liberty 3-car, Liberty 2-car, high-quality craftsmanship and style that McKelvey is known for. The Reserve at Wildwood, more than just a place to live, it is a place to thrive. All you need to do is go to McKelveyHomes.com and you can reference all of the great homes and home sites that McKelvey Homes has to offer. Move up to McKelvey, McKelvey Homes. McKelveyHomes.com.
This is the story of the one. As the purchasing manager at a manufacturing plant, she knows the only thing more important than having the right safety gear is having it there when you need it. That's why she partners with Grainger for auto reordering, so her team members can count on her to have cut-resistant gloves on hand, and each shift can run safely and efficiently. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Welcome back to Winter Hack Radio, the place for clever hacks to survive the season. Icy driveway? Well, try spreading sand or birdseed to help with traction. Snowy puppy paws? Well, grab a whisk, brush it off, done. Catch COVID-19? Well, just get...
Actually, there's no hack for COVID-19. But if you test positive, prescription medications for COVID exist. Ask your doctor if they're right for you. Visit PfizerForAll.com to learn more. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Start the new year off on a healthier note by taking active liver supplements from New Nordic every day. Available online at Amazon or NewNordicUSA.com or at your local CVS, ShopRite, Meijer Grocery, or Wegmans.
It is 8:24 and Total Information AM continues. A big boost to St. Louis being named one of 7 host sites for the LA 28 Olympic Soccer Group stage matches.
2 years is not long away. KMOX asked Mayor Kara Spencer about the preparations for such a large event. One question, does this afford an opportunity for Lambert Airport to spread its wings, so to speak?
It's going to draw a lot of people. And, it's truly exciting to have that direct flight to London. The Frankfurt flights are exciting. And, the question earlier about will this be an opportunity to expand that? I know our airport director is looking at that consistently, constantly, and evaluating how we can continue to expand the offerings at Lambert.
This is her last year.
She will be retiring, and we are in the process of looking for her successor. But I have no doubt that we're going to be selecting somebody with an eye for expanding the offerings at Lambert.
St. Louis City SC President and General Manager Diego Gigliani says, with an event of this size, there were venue visits.
And then I think they were impressed by 2 things. One is the history that we've talked about, the history both with the Olympics, but also the history with soccer. And then secondly, the world-class facility and track record that we have had in hosting big international games here. They want it to be the best of the best in terms of both the infrastructure and the experience. And they have seen that we have hosted U.S. men's national team and U.S. women's national team. We've hosted a semifinal of the Gold Cup very recently. We've had international club friendlies with teams from the Premier League or the Bundesliga. And they have seen that everyone that comes here is impressed with the ability that this team has to operate those games, but also with the fact that fans show up and they cheer those teams. So I think the combination of both of those things, the history of the city with Olympics and soccer, and what the stadium can offer, were important to those decisions. I know that there are conversations, obviously, with Mayor Spencer and her office in making sure that we are ready to take advantage of LA 28 and be ready, but they wouldn't have made this decision if they were confident in the ability for the city entirely to come together and to make that work.
President and CEO of Explore St. Louis, Brad Dean, weighed in on the Lambert Airport issue.
An event like this coming to St. Louis puts us on the radar, no pun intended, with not just airlines, but other companies all throughout the world. The first phone call I got today was from Brand USA. Brand USA is the equivalent of Explore St. Louis for the nation. When they heard from LA 28 that St. Louis was being added, they immediately called this morning looking as to how we can tap into that promotion. That gives us a platform that we wouldn't have received. We would never have been invited to that opportunity, to that party, if you will, but for City SC and Energizer Park. And I think it goes beyond just airlines, although I think it's going to certainly help wake some airlines up that St. Louis truly can compete at the global level. You think about my colleague Ron Kitchens and his team at Greater St. Louis. Ron's mission right now is more jobs, better jobs. This gives Ron and his team an opportunity to reach out, not only to learn from Kansas City, but other cities in the United States using this as leverage for economic development. For us at Explore St. Louis, it gives us an opportunity to talk to meeting planners and convention planners that wouldn't otherwise think about St. Louis. So I think airlines and other companies now will see St. Louis emerging. This is a moment for St. Louis, and we need to capitalize on it. What happens on the pitch will be exciting and fun and memorable. What happens beyond the pitch will really dictate a transformational impact for St. Louis long term.
Maria Kina, KMOX News.
It is now 8:28, and the time check is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating, Air Conditioning, Electrical, and Plumbing.
It's time for a $98 furnace tune-up.
Selling a home can be very challenging, and I know people have tried to go it alone, or they've just thought, oh, I'll just pick, my brother-in-law's friend. He can do it for me. Sometimes it really does matter when you get somebody who's an expert. And when it comes to selling homes, St. Louis's real estate expert is Gloria Liu with Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. Gloria Liu will sell your home. She guarantees it. She'll sell it for the price and in the time frame that you both agree upon, or she will buy it herself and she will put that in writing. So it is a guarantee. And that really can take a lot of stress off your shoulders because you've got a lot of other things to think about and worry about. Maybe you don't want to go through the traditional way of selling a home with the open houses, etc. Just talk to Gloria. She has so many different ways to sell a home. All you need to do is give her a call at 314-325-6888. 314-325-6888. Gloria and seller must agree on price and possession date. When you're ready to sell your home, do your homework and call the expert I trust, Gloria Liu, at gloriahasthebuyers.com.
I'm Piera Palazzolo, VP of Digital Marketing for the American Management Association, a company focused on the management training skills needed to enhance the careers of business professionals. We did our research when it came to the best companies for website development and chose AmericanEagle.com. And we couldn't be happier. AmericanEagle.com worked closely with us to understand the front and back end requirements needed to launch an e-commerce website that could handle the complexities of running thousands of seminars nationwide. Our robust new website and improved SEO saw immediate increases in site traffic and web revenue. If you're in need of managerial effectiveness and success, visit our website at amanet.org. If you're in need of a website that provides an unparalleled consumer experience, I highly recommend AmericanEagle.com.
Transform your business today. Dial 877-WebNow1 for a free digital consultation with AmericanEagle.com.
It is 8:30, and we need to check the roadways once again with Roger Brand in the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Well, Debbie, we still have this crash on eastbound Highway 70 at Earth City 141. Still have the left lane blocked, so eastbound 70 drivers are still looking at a jam. Pretty close to Highway 94 into that point. If you're on eastbound 70 out west, it looks like it's a little slow approaching Wentzville Parkway. Eastbound 64, barely a slowdown at Prospect. Then it's really Lindbergh in through the Interbelt. Westbound 64, Hampton to Hanley, still slow. North 270, 44 up to Ladue. That's still busy. Northbound 55, bogged down Bayless up across River de Pere to about Holly Hills. Eastbound 44 downtown past the Poplar out on westbound 70 to about Salisbury is kind of busy. Westbound 5570 still have that little roadwork backup. It was also reported as a minor crash in the work zone east of 111. And then 64 from the 70 split over to that crash just past 3rd Street. You still have delays. And they cleared that crash northbound 141 before Carmen. Things are looking a lot better there. Next update at 8:40 from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
It is going to be a cold day today with a high of 32 degrees and clouds and sunshine. Tomorrow's high 40, but 47 by Friday. Right now in downtown St. Louis, it's Officially mostly cloudy, but I see nothing but sunshine and 22 degrees. It's now 8:32. This week, President Trump said Republican lawmakers should nationalize voting. More specifically, he said in at least 15 places, which one could assume would be blue states. Joining us with more is CBS White House correspondent Natalie Brand. Natalie, how is this going over on Capitol Hill?
Good morning, Debbie. Good to be with you. Well, a lot of top Republicans and the White House press secretary herself are kind of trying to downplay these remarks and say that the president was simply referring to GOP elections legislation called the SAVE Act or Safeguard American Voter Eligibility Act. But then we heard the president again yesterday afternoon kind of doubled down on the comments, although, he said he did reference lawmakers who were standing behind him and said, well, if a state isn't going to run its election properly, then the people behind me, referencing those lawmakers, should do something about it. But then went on to say that he thinks the federal government should get involved. But Debbie, as you know, the Constitution is quite clear on this point, saying, that it's the states and state legislatures that set the rules regarding elections and elections procedure, although, the Constitution also says that Congress can alter elections rules, just not the president.
He also is still ruminating about the 2020 election. Last week in Georgia, the FBI did seize ballots from the 2020 election, and President Trump said some interesting things would come out of it. Like what?
Yeah, and he hasn't said more about that. But, the latest comments coupled with that FBI raid last week, which also had the director of national intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, involved on the ground there. She told Congress at the president's request. That has raised a lot of alarm among Democratic lawmakers, who worry that the president could be setting the stage for what they fear would be unprecedented federal intrusion. And they're also really concerned about this fixation on 2020, which, numerous audits and challenges reaffirmed that former President Biden won that state and won the election. So, Senate Democrats and House Democrats really sounding the alarm here, because all of this is coming as we're just 9 months away from the midterms.
In that interview, when he was talking about nationalizing voting, he also mentioned several times about all the illegal immigrants who voted in the 2020 election. Has there been any evidence of that?
Yeah, he made that claim without evidence. And, part of this GOP legislation that has passed the House but would face a huge uphill battle in the Senate would tighten rules to require citizenship documentation to register to vote. So this remains, a focus of the president and some Republican lawmakers as well. But, I was talking to an elections expert yesterday from the Brennan Center at New York University, and he says the research continues to show that voter fraud is exceedingly rare, and that if it is detected, it's prosecuted. And so that there is huge fear among populations, particularly, immigrants, of getting in trouble for that. And that deters a lot of these cases. So again, the message from elections officials and experts is that fraud itself is very, very rare.
CBS White House correspondent Natalie Brand, thank you so much for the time this morning.
Thank you.
It is 8:36. This is Total Information AM.
Hi, Margaret with Eamon, Gantner, and Capriano. Our St. Louis Baseball Cardinals reset last season. Now they're planning for the long term. Have you thought about a long-term plan for your family? A will, a trust, powers of attorney? Eamon, Gantner, and Capriano can guide you with a personalized estate plan. Sign up for our free webinar on our website, yourestateMatters.com. Learn more about estate planning, get some answers, list your questions, then schedule a consultation. You can plan for your family, your favorite charities, taxes, your long-term care, and even your pets now, before the courts do it for you later. Eamon, Gantner, and Capriano, yourestatematters.com.
The choice of an attorney is an important decision and shouldn't be based solely on advertising.
This is the story of the one. As an HVAC technician, he and his digital multimeter are in high demand. So when a noisy office HVAC turns out to be a failing blower motor, he doesn't break a sweat. With Grainger's easy-to-use website and product information, he selects the product he needs to keep everything humming right along. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Hey, Joy. Oh, you are glowing.
Oh, hey, more like Mira joyed that Miralax helped me go. I was so backed up. Tried mega coffees, prune juice, everything. Then Miralax. And hello, gentle relief without the harsh side effects.
Ooh, how does it work?
It works naturally with the water in your body for constipation relief. Find Miralax today at your local retailer.
Use as directed for occasional constipation.
It is time for your Bloomberg Money Minute. It's sponsored by Eamon Gantner and Capriano Elder Law Attorneys.
This is a Bloomberg Money Minute. American Airlines CEO Robert Isom is under pressure from its pilots, blaming him for failing to close the gap with more profitable rivals Delta and United. The Allied Pilots Association union is considering holding a vote of no confidence in Isom and his executive team, with the move possible as soon as Friday. American declined to comment. Checking on your money, yesterday traders dumped shares of software stocks. Artificial intelligence firm Anthropic released a productivity tool for lawyers, sending legal software firms tumbling. This morning, markets are starting to gain traction with S&P futures edging higher. And the company behind dating sites Tinder and Hinge has been working to get ahead of the shift in how young people approach dating. Match has pledged to remove bad actors from its platforms and make the apps safer for women and younger daters. It also plans to add more artificial intelligence features. This report is sponsored by Fidelity. Courtney Donahoe, Bloomberg Radio.
St. Louis has a voice.
KMOX, the voice of St. Louis.
That voice has shared our stories from headline to history. From moment to memory. Presenting the Barnyard Follies. Among those voices, Bill Wilkerson.
He fakes drop sets, looking, throwing upfield. It is.
Working at KMOX is an honor and a responsibility to represent this community. It's one we take seriously. KMOX, the voice of St. Louis.
Texting enrolls you into recurring automated text messages. Consent not required to purchase. Message and data rates may apply.
Hey, Dan, haven't seen you around the gym for a while.
Yeah, I've really fallen off. Since I turned 40, I just don't get the results I used to get.
Could it be lower testosterone?
Lower T.
Happens to most guys after 40. I was in the same boat until I started using Nugenix Total T2.
Total T2, the new one I've seen on TV.
Yep, it's the next generation testosterone booster for both free and total testosterone. It's packed with even more man-boosting power, sending nitric oxide levels skyrocketing in just 3 hours.
It actually works?
I feel like I'm in my 20s again. I've got more energy, better results in the gym, and things are even better in the bedroom. Send them a text and get a complimentary bottle.
Text now for your complimentary bottle of Nugenix Total T2, the #1 testosterone brand at GNC. Plus, text now and we'll include a bottle of Nugenix Thermo X, our most powerful fat incinerator ever, absolutely free. Text AREA to 369-369. AREA to 369-369. AREA to 369-369.
These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
I'm Ultima Morgan. Every year, almost 30,000 babies in America are born with birth injuries. It's every parent's worst nightmare. If your child suffered a birth injury, please call our firm to find out if we can help.
Visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
8:40 in time for Roger Brand in the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Well, Debbie, they just cleared the crash about 3 minutes ago on eastbound 70, the one we had at 141 at Earth City, just east of there. So traffic is improving in the area, but you're still going to find a backup from 5th Street in most of the way to Earth City because it just happened a couple minutes ago. Northbound 270, that's still slow. North of 44 all the way up to Ladue. Eastbound 70 at Highway A, we have an incident in the right lane. It looks like it's backing up. Folks coming south on 61, ramping onto eastbound 70. Eastbound 64 from Lindbergh and through to Big Bend's heavy. Westbound 64 slow. Hampton to Hanley. South 170 delays at Brentwood. Northbound 55. Bayless up to Holly Hills slow. Westbound 70 past the Musial Veterans Bridge and around Kings Highway a little busy. And westbound 64 still slow from the 70 split up to about Tudor because of that incident we have with the lane blocked. I'm Roger Brand in the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Sponsored by Kalshi. Trade on anything. The big game is here, and now you can trade on football legally nationwide on Kalshi. Right now, New England is trading at 32% to beat Seattle. A $100 trade pays out $289. Use code FAN to get $20 when you trade 100. Kalshi. Kalshi. Trade on anything.
It is 8:42, and it's time to check in with our KMOX legal analyst. That would be Brad Young of Harris, Young & Kaiser. Good morning, Brad.
Good morning, Debbie.
It's been interesting following the travails of Missouri Secretary of State Denny Hoskins. He's kind of on a hot streak because 5 times in recent months, ballot summaries that he's written have been overturned by courts. For people who don't know, the Secretary of State writes that language that shows up on the, amendments that we vote on. What do you think is happening here?
Well, Debbie, there is a natural conflict here between a summary of a statute. The proposal might be 500 pages long, and you have to summarize that into a few sentences. So there's this pull between summarizing a complex statute and then on the flip side of the issue, making the summary where it's biased in one direction or the other politically. And that's really the push and pull that we see now between the Secretary of State's office and the courts. So most of these most recent ballot initiatives that have been summarized by the Secretary of State's office have been deemed to be too partisan, one way or the other, either by including information that's not in the statute itself or excluding relevant information that needs to be included for voters to make an informed choice. So the courts have said here, Debbie, that what has to happen is, number one, the people get to decide, but number two, they have to be given information sufficient to make an accurate decision. So that's why we keep seeing this back and forth between the Secretary of State's office and the courts.
And it's interesting that legislative Republicans have tried to take the power away from the courts to rewrite those summaries if they feel that the Secretary of State hasn't done the job. I don't know if also they want to move now. They want to move the Cole County judges from the Eastern District to the Western District, thinking that they'll have a better shot. And I don't know if that's even possible or how that would happen.
Right. The second part about moving the judges from one district to another, that's something that we're going to have to examine more closely when that happens. But in terms of the attempt to remove judicial review from this situation, that entire statute was invalidated by the courts themselves. And so right now, as it stands in Missouri, we're really at the status quo, that the Secretary of State's office is empowered by law to continue to draft these summaries. But unless something changes, we're probably going to see more litigation in the future as these ballot initiatives continue to appear on the ballot.
Another issue real quickly before we have to go, the co-CEO of Netflix was hauled before Congress. We had sound this morning of Senator Hawley grilling him. And it's all about the Netflix Warner Brothers Discovery deal, which is raising antitrust concerns. And for people who aren't paying a lot of attention, there is a lot at stake here.
There is a lot at stake, not just for consumers, but also for people who work in the industry. For example, if this merger between Netflix and, for example, HBO Max were allowed to continue, the concern might be that viewers have less choice of what to watch. Viewers might face higher prices because there's less competition. But there's also the flip side, which is if less content is being made because of the merger, then that could potentially impact employees of the movie industry. So antitrust always focuses on how does it impact the consumer. And I know with you, Debbie, and probably with all the listeners, we pay a lot of money for streaming services. And if this would actually increase prices because of the potential for a monopoly under the Clayton Act, that impacts us all.
I think we have time for one more quick one because data centers have been in the news a lot lately. I know St. Louis is trying to put together some guidelines because everywhere a data center is proposed, people are upset about it. Do you see any legal issues with communities putting in these strict rules or kind of, trying to change the way data centers might operate?
Yeah, the legal issues here, Debbie, is again the push and pull between the people who are building the data centers. They want to have access to water, electricity, and the zoning outlining, or the zoning rather, rules and regulations being too prohibitive to the point that it's economically non-viable. And that's literally where the legal focal point will be as these data center issues move forward.
Brad, thanks for the time. As always, we appreciate it.
My pleasure.
That is Brad Young. He is our KMOX legal analyst with Harris, Young & Kaiser. And unfortunately, he is not here in studio to enjoy some delicious cinnamon rolls, which we're going to eat for a good cause. We'll tell you more about Bridge Bakery coming up next.
Being first in line can be very important to homeowners. First in line for the plumber, first in line for the HVAC guy, first at Banner Construction. It's Banner Construction's winter home event, and you can be the first in line this spring and save before the annual price increases. Banner Construction is a James Hardie and Pella replacement windows specialist, and now is the best time to schedule a free in-home consultation with no obligation. Call 314-569-1050 or check them out on the web at bannerconstruction.com and have a banner day.
How many of you think taxes will go up in the future? And if they do, who will get hit the hardest? Maybe it's you, headed for retirement. You've been saving in that 401k or IRA, and that money has never been taxed. And Uncle Sam is looking at that account like it's a big, juicy steak. What can you do about it? Join the All Financial Group for their Taxes in Retirement Seminar, Thursday, February 19th or Tuesday, February 24th. They believe a financial plan is not a retirement plan without a tax plan. Fund your retirement, not Uncle Sam's. Reserve your spot today by calling 636-230-8824. That's 636-230-8824. Or go to yourmoneymattersstl.com. Investment advisory products and services made available through Impact Partnership Wealth, LLC, IPW, a registered investment advisor. Neither the firm nor its agents or representatives may give tax or legal advice. Individuals should consult a qualified professional for guidance before making any purchasing decisions.
Zero Res wants to give your home the love and attention it deserves. Get 3 rooms of carpet cleaned starting at just $119. Take $75 off your air duct cleaning. Book online at ZeroResSTL.com and mention the KMOX special.
2 legendary bands, 1 massive night of classic rock. Foreigner, performing the songs that defined a generation.
You're as cold as ice.
And Leonard Skinner, bringing Southern rock anthems to St. Louis. Foreigner, Leonard Skinner, coming to Hollywood Casino Amphitheater August 6th. Tickets on sale now at Ticketmaster.com. For more information, KMOX.com/events.
Attention business owners with a net income over $500,000. You need to work with a tax strategist that understands your entrepreneurial mindset. Download the most recent white paper written by E3 Consultants Group titled The Power of a Professional Tax Strategy Team. Go to e3wealth.com/radio to obtain a copy. It's time to learn about wealth and tax strategies that protect your personal and business economy. E3 is ready to help you think differently about your finances. Educate, empower, enlighten. That's the E3 difference.
It is 8:50. Total Information AM continues. One way to feel better about eating another cinnamon roll is knowing that your purchase is helping other people and the community. You may be familiar with Bridge Bread Bakery on Cherokee Street. Well, now they have a brand new location. Joining me is Bridge Bread Managing Director Mike Healy. Thanks for being with us.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
For people who are not familiar, you've been around about a decade, but tell us what Bridge Bread Bakery is and does.
Absolutely. Well, this is actually our 15th year. So any graphic designers who want to make like a Bridge Bread 15th logo for volunteer, that would be awesome. But Bridge Bread is a nonprofit social enterprise that we hire people who are experiencing homelessness or in transitional housing. We give them the skills to learn a new job, learn how to work again if that's something that's necessary through our restorative employment program. And we provide housing assistance to our bakers. And with the opening of the Loop Bakery, we have updated our mission statement to add a path towards economic mobility. So the Loop Bakery is for an artisan bakery for us to promote our bakers and to give them skills that will translate beyond an entry-level position, maybe becoming a manager of a standalone bakery like Bridge Bread The Loop, or be an artisan baker, or maybe a pastry chef at a hotel, something like that.
And the new Bridge Bread location is right on Skinker at Del Mar.
Correct. Yeah, it's Up Late Diner is the anchor on the corner, and we're just a few doors down.
Yeah, I saw the sign go up a few weeks ago, and I thought, oh my goodness, they're moving to the Loop, and so it's a pretty big location.
It is. It's been a long process, 2 years of fundraising to make this happen with galas and private donors and some grants written as well. But the idea was given to us by a gentleman named Wayne Kroll, who has his own organization called Gateway to Flourishing. And he sat down with Fred after we met him at an event at the Crossing Church. He sat down with Fred and said, what can you do to take people from stable, from unhoused to stable is what you're doing, which is great. But how do we get them to the middle class or towards the middle class? And he challenged us, and we thought about it. And Fred, our founder, Fred Domke, said, well, let's create an artisan bakery. And we had kicked around the idea of making like little pop-up bakeries or like little cookie bakeries, something like that. But this was a shift in what we do. For pretty much the last 15 years, Bridge Bread has made packaged goods. At Seward Market, we sell some cinnamon rolls and some donuts out of a case. But for the most part,
I see the cinnamon rolls at Schnucks too.
Yes, we are at 14 Schnucks locations as well. But the idea of creating a fresh bakery, fresh made daily, unpackaged, you walk in, you pick, I want that bagel, I want that loaf of bread, and I want, that cookie. That was something new to us. And we hired an artisan baker named Teddy, who's running the ship there, or, he's piloting the plane over there, captaining the ship. And he's doing a great job at training one of our bakers who'd been with us. His name is Jean, been with us for about a year and a half, 2 years, and training him to become an artisan baker. And with that, like I said, learn more skills, earn more money through Bridge Bread, but also have the ability possibly to move on to a baking career.
When you said, I mentioned cinnamon rolls because that's what you guys are really well known for. But when we're talking artisanal bakery, I noticed you mentioned bagels. What other kind of things what qualifies, I guess, as artisanal baking?
Well, one is the skill that's required to do it. Bagels require a skill. The bagels that we're selling at the Loop Bakery or Bridge Bread The Loop, I need to remember the tag, right? That's the official name. They're not much different than the bagels we sell packaged, except they're made that day. They're made by hand. We hand roll them, and we boil them, kettle boiled bagels like New York style bagels. The cinnamon rolls are decadent with way too much butter and sugar. And they are about, bigger than a softball. And as we go, and we will create, Teddy is creating a menu, and as John can learn those skills, and we can hopefully be so busy we have to move more bakers over there, and hire more bakers for the Cherokee Street baking for all of our other ventures. We're hoping that menu will grow into things like quichettes with with a brioche dough with some egg and quiche in the middle, and they just worked on ham and cheese scones, which I'm a sweet guy with my baked stuff, but when we tried the ham and cheese scones, I mean, those are delicious. You need to go get some. He has some today, by the way.
Wow.
He told me.
That sounds very interesting.
So we're pretty excited about that.
I'd be willing to try that.
Who wouldn't, right? Unless you don't like ham.
Are the people who work at Bridge, is the point for them to be longtime employees, or is the point to sort of move them on to other places?
That's a great question, and probably one of the biggest misconceptions about Bridge Bread. We are not a jobs training program or a job. When Fred and Sharon founded Bridge Bread, they really realized that there's a lot of charities out there and that do great things, shelters, everything, do great things that makes being unhoused more comfortable, but doesn't really get to the root cause of getting people from being unhoused into housing. And that's a job. So they decided to create a place that wasn't a jobs training program, but was an actual job for someone to come, learn new skills, and stay as long as they want to. And then over the years that grew, about 4 years ago, we put our housing incentive program in place where we pay for moving costs up to a certain amount, and we subsidize their rent all the time that they work for us. And that really, created a new path to what we're doing and really trying to help people rise out of being unhoused. If you ask someone for, to save $1,500 to, who just been, anybody, I couldn't save $1,500 in a couple months if I needed to, right? So if you ask someone to save $1,500 to get moved into an apartment nowadays, it's pretty difficult. So the housing incentive program came in. So that's the long answer to your question of they can stay as long as they like. But in order for us to help more people, we have two avenues to go. Move people on so they, find another job somewhere, or expand. And we have decided that expansion is probably the best way for Bridgebread to help more people being unhoused.
Well, support Bridgebread The Loop.
Yes.
And Bridgebread, if you see their stuff in your local grocery store. Mike Healy is joining us from Bridgebread Bakery on Cherokee Street and in The Loop. He is the managing director. Thanks so much.
Well, thank you for having me. Really appreciate it.
It is 8:57.
The Billikens, they keep rolling. They have won 16